they motherfucking changed the temperature of the planet. You dig what I'm saying? Like,
Right. Okay.
700, 800 years before that, it was motherfucking the Greeks and them. I know, well, it was the Romans. And then 800 years before that, it was the Greeks. You feel me? When the Greeks came all the way from that corner of the earth, they conquered all the way to India. Do you know how many people would have died? And that's crazy. You feel me? That is crazy, the scale that they, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? Then even when you look, Fatty like to talk about the Bantu expansion. Look at how many people had to get displaced and moved around because those Bantus spread out with their iron tools and stuff. And you dig what I'm saying? Killing and colonizing and enslaving other groups of Africa. You feel me? You go to the rise of Islam, right? The amount of area that it conquered from the 700s to what? To the 1400s? It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, so it depends on what time you're looking at. You dig what I'm saying? And then we ain't even start talking about East Asia, right? With the Chinese and the stuff that they did in Vietnam and moving down into the Korea and all of those other places. Like, that was a lot of human suffering going on. You dig what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? And then human beings just get, with technology, you can kill at a larger scale. You dig what I'm saying? So every time we just looking at World War II because a lot of modern technology was available to be able to kill on a larger scale than anybody. You know what I mean? Mobility was changed, right? That's the second war where aerial combat was, you dig what I'm saying? Where you could drop bombs from the sky and stuff like that. They was developing napalm and, you know what I mean, chemical warfare, like, you know what I mean, mechanized infantry and things like that, where you could kill at a higher scale, right? So I think a lot of that technology has a lot to do with it also. You know what I mean? Why you'll see the scale of death being ramped up in a small amount of time on a larger scale is because of technology, not because one is more brutal than other ages of human beings. Their technology allows them to kill at a far higher clip than, you dig what I'm saying? So that's my spiel.
What y'all was talking about?
If it was turned around on white people and asked them who would they go back in time and kill, he asked a good question. Would some of them say somebody like Farrakhan or Martin Luther King? You dig what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's crazy. I wonder who they would. Who would they kill if it was
the same people that we named?
No, I'm saying black.
Yeah, racist motherfucker probably would say
probably go to
Farrakhan or somebody. But
Jeff said we don't even make the scale of, like, if this the thing about it, if they would be killing a black person, it would totally be out of prejudice or racism, because we ain't did nothing to them to make a dent for you to be mad at us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because they know, like killing MLK to a racist person is like, they don't think, they're like, the civil rights movement was interesting. It makes for good movies and this, that, and the other. But I don't think that even they know, we didn't really give them nothing. You know, Malcolm X was interesting. There's no need to kill him. He was exciting. Farrakhan is exciting. Because everybody that they thought was a threat is dead.
I was just
Like
about to say that.
yeah, everybody
They
that they
did
thought
get
was
him out
any
of there.
kind of threat, yeah, anybody that they thought was any kind of threat to anything,
They did get out of there.
Yeah,
Period.
they got him out of
Let's
there.
just say it. They did get him out of
there. So it was like, you know, but even it's all symbolic. You can't get Obama probably because Secret Service. You can't get him. So I'm trying to think, but that's a good question though. What black person in history would it make? Hannibal. Yeah.
Hannibal wasn't black.
Yeah.
Oh
He was
shit! Here we
African,
go.
wasn't he?
Now let's go debate it.
Wasn't Hannibal African?
Nat Turner.
Man, that's an isolated incident in their eyes. And they got him out of there too.
That's what I'm saying.
They got out of there. Hannibal, y'all don't educate me. Hannibal wasn't black.
No, we going 8 years in the past. Garfield Channel. Let's do it.
He's North African.
He's a Berber.
So why isn't he black?
Because his skin was pale.
Wait, so Hannibal isn't black because he's from North Africa?
No, I'm gonna quit trolling. Go ahead and get busy, Chef.
I ain't got no energy for that one. It's too much. Hannibal.
Well, just give me the simplest version you got.
Hannibal was he was of Phoenician extraction, right? They were rulers who came to North Africa by way of Sidon and Tyre, which is in Phoenicia. Like it would be like modern day Lebanon, around that area.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They created Carthage as a trading post city in North Africa. It was a way for them to kind of dominate trade in the Mediterranean. Although it's in North Africa, it don't mean that the civilization was North African, right? If you look at the ruins of Carthage, it looked very Greekish. You know what I mean? It looked very Roman. You know what I mean? The architecture, the city planning. It even had the amphitheaters of the Romans, and you dig what I'm saying? The Colosseum, it had all of that. You dig what I'm saying? So more than likely, Hannibal was he could have had a North African mother. You dig what I'm saying? Which still wouldn't make him black, because the North Africans in that area was Berbers. You dig what I'm saying? But his family lineage was clearly Phoenician.
So he was North African then?
Huh?
It'd be safe to say he's North African then?
Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't be wrong. You dig what I'm saying? You'll be safer saying that than anything else. But that don't make him
it wouldn't fall neatly into like black. It'd be better to say Phoenician or North African.
Yeah.
Now, what do you think? Do white people think Hannibal was black? Like without all the history, like somebody that doesn't know the history, would you say he's been remembered as black or African?
Yeah, well, white people do is a crazy thing with their history, right? A way for them to downplay somebody. It sounds crazy. This ain't me, y'all. All right.
You know you're about to say something crazy. Yeah. Go ahead.
A good way for them to downplay people is to call them black. You dig what I'm saying? So it's the same way how Europeans will disparage Italians and Spanish people, right? And Sicilians by claiming that the Moors was black, right? It's a way for them to say y'all mixed with Negro. You dig what I'm saying? It's a way to say y'all really ain't white, because the Moors conquered y'all, and since the Moors are from Africa, y'all got some Negro blood in y'all. Y'all ain't fully, you dig what and it don't mean that the Moors were actually black. It's a way for Europeans to take digs at each other. You dig what I'm saying? And since we are in their society at the lowest rung, far as wise the racial stock, by saying that other groups of so-called white people, you know, probably are more mongrel and got that Negro blood in them, that means that they are not pure white like we are. So it's a way, and another way for them to get at Italians and them, knowing that Hannibal conquered southern Italy, right? And ravaged their countryside for damn near 10 years, 10, 20 years. You dig what I'm saying? Him and his North African army, right, is a way to say that y'all was mixed with Negroes, but it don't, like, history don't bear out that Hannibal or the Moors were actually Negroes.
And that's why I was saying Europeans or whites. I think they would, because that stain that you was just talking about how the story goes, Hannibal, you know, he made sure he literally wanted to shift their bloodline. So that's how you get Italians that's damn near dark skinned. So, you know, there's certain things I think that they would remove in history. Nat Turner would probably be, I don't know, bro.
I look at it as far as technology, right? I think a lot of people get that part. Like I look at technology, I say, if black people were so-called Negroes, were seafaring people, right? Then a lot of these stories about the Moors and Hannibal and them would be more plausible, right? But then when I look at West and Central Africans, and I don't see no seafaring people, like for them to have to be in the, that's not something that our people actually, you know, I could be wrong. I've never seen us conquer the sea. I've never, like I said, I could be wrong, but us as a group, right, we didn't live along the shores of great oceans, right? And I don't know no West or Central African groups of people that actually were seafaring. Now, they were great on the rivers, right, that we lived along, but not on those large bodies of water. So in order for the Moors to be black, then you would be saying there was a great maritime power of black North Africans that was able to move into Western Europe. I mean into Southern Europe by way of ship. And I haven't seen to say that that Hannibal and them was black. Then that would mean that it was black Africans who, you know what I mean, could command the Mediterranean Sea. I haven't seen that in history yet. So that y'all can call me racist again, but
I don't even know how that would be racist. How would that?
I haven't seen that. I mean, because we like to believe that we did everything, and you dig what I'm saying? And I haven't seen no knowledge of that. You know what I mean? Could you have black people that participated? Yeah. You dig what I'm saying? But was that a cultural feature of theirs to be a maritime power? I've never seen that. You feel me? Never seen it.
So we never in history? I'm gonna look that up.
No,
I never even looked at that.
I've never seen it.
What mail at?
I gotta pull it up right here. You know, I'll be doing shit while we talking. We're talking about great seafaring black cultures, and I tried to specifically just, you know, speak about the oceans because that's the main thing, and that's where it dwindled down. But of course, it brings up the ancient Egyptians saying the Nile and the Red Sea, Nubians and Cushites, Nile and Red Sea again, Carthaginians and Phoenicians, North Africa. So that's dealing with the Mediterranean. They say the Swahili coast of East Africa. They say they built dhows with large sailboats. And then West African seafarers, the Mali Empire legends. And Malagasy and East African navigators. They're the only ones they pulled up.
It say Hannibal's father too. Did you get that on yours?
I have Hannibal's father right here. I actually have his whole family tree. Hamilcar Barca.
Yeah. So he commanded fleets. They said the Romans only beat the Romans only beat them after building a navy of their own. So it says Carthage, the North African superpower, ruling from Spain to Sicily, and they had the greatest naval power in the Western Mediterranean.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Speaking Mediterranean.
Yeah.
So what is your conclusion? What just happened?
I don't have a conclusion. You said something I didn't know, so I just looked it up to see if we ever were a maritime power, and it showed a few.
You went back to Hannibal. I already said Hannibal wasn't black.
No. I ain't talking about black. I'm trying to learn something. I will agree with your point. I don't see no what's the word? I don't see anything in here. Well, I don't even know if it would be. Y'all black is weirder than mine. Well, no, not weirder. My black is weirder than y'all's. Y'all's is more of an educated geographical thing. I look at Hannibal as black, maybe incorrectly, but now that I look it up, I would agree North African. It's very difficult for me to say Africans weren't black in an uneducated way, you know. But if he wasn't black, you know, okay. If that's what y'all want to run with, he wasn't black. Because based on the actual, not science, but based on the actual, what do they call the science of race? Based on the whatever, not demographic of people, whatever it is, if y'all say he's not black, if you can look it up and then say it's North African or Phoenician, I have an argument.
Hey, Brass, what do you define as black as it relates to the continent?
I just want to take credit for all of it. So
you're supposed to say SS. You're supposed to say SS.
What's that? I don't. Yeah. That's y'all with that bullshit. I don't do that. I don't do it. I don't do it. I don't do it. I guess you know what's funny. Outside of these conversations, I'm gonna assume that's Fairmont. That's what it sounded like. Outside of these conversations, before I met y'all, black was a lot easier, bro. That's something to say. And I think y'all been in these conversations so long. I'm probably gonna make my words clear. I think y'all been in these conversations so long that to a layman, Hannibal isn't black. Y'all really think. Because y'all immediately jumped on that when I said it. But I would think that how can I put it? I would think that Hannibal, most people think Hannibal's black without the research, without the education. They just classify him as black.
That's just
me.
That's the what's his face, Brass. But that's why that's the hidden colors. That's why
I didn't watch it.
That spread on there. That was one of the highlights that they put. Hannibal was black, Mansa Musa traveled before Columbus, that whole thing. They highlighted all that. So I'll just speak about me, and I know a couple other people had the same sentiment. When people do come with that type of information, to us who've been in the community who already knew that, probably because we encountered it as a youth or we read different books at a younger age, we understand the nuance to it. We understand the simple level that people have of it. Then we understand the true layers of it. So that's why to the layman, they would just say, yeah, Hannibal is black because they heard it spread around every barbershop in damn United States.
Right.
But to somebody who actually knows the conversation, they can talk about it like, he was Phoenician. You understand Phoenician and was this colony and his dad led this from this. You can add more information to it.
Yeah, often the same people that consider Hannibal to be black, they don't look at the modern Egyptians as African.
Hmm?
I'm gonna say you jumped into a whole nother fire. Let's go, man.
Wait, you see,
I wasn't trying to jump into another fire. I was pointing to Brass's point. Because I agree. There was a certain point where I just would have considered folks that are African to be black.
Facts.
Egyptians is black.
But when you point me to like the modern Egyptians, even the Moroccans, I probably wouldn't consider them to be black or even African.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes back to perception and education and that kind of thing. So
nah, but Egyptians were black. I just listened to y'all when y'all talk, but Egyptians was definitely black too. Before I met y'all niggas. Before I met y'all, Egyptians, if anybody would have ever asked me, like, for example, there was a movie that came out a long time ago, not a long time ago, maybe about 3 years ago, called Gods of Egypt.
Yeah.
And great movie, great special effects. The only effect that to me is I was like, who is all these white people? I like the characters, I like the acting, I like the storytelling and all of that. But to a regular everyday person, Egyptians are black. So
ancient
ancient, modern, the ones there today, like they're all black. To me,
nah.
To me, I'm just saying.
I don't.
Yeah. They put the nuance of ancient Egyptian, bro. Because I know, like now it's not. You can look at a Egyptian and be like, nah, they not black. Like even Egyptian women, you'll be like, people would be like, yeah, she is different. It's not like the context of what we thought of ancient Egyptian. I can say that. Some people do still think ancient Egyptians was black. They have that context, but I ain't never heard nobody say modern Egyptians is black.
I just don't look at. I mean, they look. Where is Egypt? Just so we're clear. Just so
Egypt is in Africa.
Northeast Africa.
Right.
Northeast Africa.
So I tend to before I met y'all, and I'm not saying y'all wrong, silly or otherwise, but Egypt in Africa, Africans are black. So I don't go much further than that. Y'all have the ability to do the Mediterranean and then the Phoenician and all of that stuff. I just keep it simple so as not to argue. A lot of the wall paintings and stuff like that is dark skin tones and shit like that. So I just go that way. I hope I'm not, I know I'm not correct now that I met y'all, right? But I know Egypt is in Africa and Africans are black. That makes Egyptians black, ancient, modern, or otherwise. That's for me. Now y'all could fight it out, but I don't think y'all. What's the word? Y'all can fight it out, but shit. I mean, based on Smash and all the other people having these conversations, apparently they even with education, it don't make it no clearer. Because there's some educated niggas on one side saying saying Egyptians is black, and there's some people saying they ain't.
Yeah, that's when ideology trumps, education and the knowledge and consensus,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ideology, aka politics. Politicizing the information.
I disagree with the education. I think sometimes education messes up arguments.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that too.
Sometimes you get too deep into something. Listen, I've heard y'all argue about Egypt is black. I hope y'all don't think that education is bringing clarity and my laymaness is bringing the confusion.
No,
I think it's the education that they have in Mujasi that's actually making this. Because Mujasi, would you agree that based on the education levels and the use of gray areas, and you can go to a courtroom and see a motherfucker can argue anything.
Mm-hmm.
I could see you shoot somebody in the face on camera. There's lawyers on the planet to be like, yeah, don't worry about that. I get you. That's just an inconvenience, bro.
Say big cheese.
I get you off of that.
I'll say this about education. And what's up, yo?
What's up?
Education doesn't necessarily toe the line when it comes to determining race. They'll look at, like, for instance, the Egyptians and Hannibal. Hannibal's has Berber ancestry. Berbers and Egyptians are classified as a Mediterranean culture. If anything, Hannibal looked Mediterranean. And they would rely on that because that is, again, his ancestry. It's where he's from. And in a lot of the, recreated, artwork, not the coins, but the more so recreated artwork.
So what about the coin? The coin,
the coins are accurate. The coins always represent, when Romans do coins, they always represent gods or goddesses, more so than actual people. So we can never use the coins because the coins aren't necessarily meant to be accurate. He would be, if anything, he'd be more Mediterranean, especially with his Berber background. The ancient Egyptians are also Mediterranean, even though some come in different shades. Science and education-wise, they don't necessarily try to throw the line between who's who. They all share the same culture, so regardless of the different shades of skin they have, they all, get along, and they all have very similar backgrounds genetically. So that's what science will say. Science won't pick and choose who's black and who's not.
There's a question that I tend to not go back into this ancient stuff anymore because I remember how cyclical it was. But it's one question I tend to phrase for myself that helps me to classify whether somebody would be considered black or not. And I forgot to say good morning to y'all, brothers. It's good to hear y'all voice this morning. Is I always rephrase it as if Hannibal was alive today and had to get him citizenship within America and was walking on the streets in New York or New Jersey or Chicago, what would he be classified today? Because it's difficult for me to go back and try to put a blanket on people and say they were black. And that's the piece that I was saying.
He'd be classified as just as the same way, like if an Egyptian was to come over here and get citizenship. Them Egyptians that's in Egypt today, they classify themselves as white. Gaddafi. I think he's from the same lineage. Gaddafi got Phoenician lineage, don't he? I think Sheffer would know that. I believe Muammar Gaddafi. Yeah, I believe Muammar Gaddafi had Phoenician ancestry. Look at Muammar Gaddafi. You know what I mean? Like, I would say he was black.
The little bit that I've read on Hannibal, and I did very small little bit because it was like I was like under the same impression that everybody else believed. Like somebody told me Hannibal was black, and I'm like, yeah, that was a black man that conquers. I was excited, but I looked at some primary sources.
That. I was hurt when I did when we did the whole research thing on that a few years back. I was hurt by finding out the information, but I had to accept the primary sources.
Well, that's where I'm a little mixed at because I had read behind. I'm sorry, I'm driving right now. I'm trying to dodge some of these crazy white folks. Theodore Dodge, who wrote the book on the history and the art of the war of the Carthaginians, and he quoted some primary sources from Polybius and Livy and Appian, and I think they're like one Greek, one Roman. I don't know what the other one was, but most of them describe them in the terms that they use at that time to make sense of the different complexions of cultures of people. And I remember Polybius described, I'm sorry, getting off on this exit. Polybius described Hannibal as having strong Ethiopic features. And I know at that time, to refer to somebody as Ethiopic was kind of like a culture of a different people with a certain type of complexion. And Appian had a very similar description to him as well, too. And so if we take account of people who was primary sources of that time, their perception of them would have been kind of like this, if I can use the term, melanated person that we were probably associated to African descendancy. Now, of course, there's a wide range and spectrum of what that looks like, and there's a wide range in interpretation of some of these primary sources and how they called or termed or classified people as Ethiopic. But my interpretation and walking away from it is just like, okay, if some of these folks described them as being kind of a complexion, Ethiopic, having this broadness of features and all of that, then I can assume or make some slight association that if he was alive today, he will probably look like an African descendant in the various spectrums that look like. But I kind of left it at that because I don't know. I can't say that the man was black. I don't know. I don't term anybody before the 1500s as being black.
Yeah, and the whole skin tone thing is a little bit kind of like a little dangerous
convoluted. Yeah,
to piece the information
That's
to go
right.
with because like the white boys that's out here is 3 shades darker than Sheffrin and Cyrus Superfetti. You see what I'm saying? That's because they outside all day, every day. Now, imagine back 5,000 years ago, you run around with your shirt off all day, every day. I mean, you'd be looking, you'd have the skin tone like they like and Cyrus, but they pure European. You see what I'm saying? So I don't know. And then also like dark skin was a symbol of hard work. You know what I'm saying? So like they would always try to like the toughness and hard work was associated with darker skin. Not black like me. You see what I'm saying? But like darker skin, like a white boy in the middle of July with his first shirt off, right? And even been working outside all for the whole July. His skin's gonna be pretty dark. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah,
yeah, that's why I didn't
deal with that skin color thing. You can, like I said, you can look at his people from Phoenicia that has North African ancestry right now today. Like I said, Muammar Gaddafi, he got Phoenician background, right, ancestry, right, but he's North African. He would have looked. I would imagine Hannibal would have looked similar to him.
I actually looked it up. I actually looked it up, Corey. It said he wasn't from Phoenician ancestry.
No, he had Hannibal. He had Berber ancestry.
Say it again, Small. Say it again, Small. What'd you say?
I actually looked it up. It said Gaddafi wasn't of Phoenician ancestry. It said hold on, let me go pull it back up. It says something about nomadic Berber tribe or something like that, but it's not Phoenician though. It said it wasn't. He's not of Phoenician ancestry.
Yeah, so Hannibal considered one of those controversial characters where like a lot of details about him can't be confirmed at all.
Just real quick on Gaddafi, it says Gaddafi did not have Phoenician ancestry. He was born into a poor nomadic Bedouin family from the Qaddafi, I don't know, some tribe in the deserts of Libya near Sirte. So it's not technically Phoenician. But I see what you're saying though. What were you saying, Logic?
No, I might have been redirecting the topic too early. But isn't he considered one of those very controversial people in history where like a lot of facts, details about the stuff they say he did isn't they're not able to confirm it?
Yeah. I've heard that too.
Like of course the whole march on the Alps with the elephant, that's pretty problematic. But I think there were some other things too. But he's not like I guess what I'm saying is, could Rome have actually used? Uh, could it actually have used Hannibal as propaganda? Like, do you think that it could have just blown up his story to make him something that he wasn't for their own political reasons?
No, I don't think that, because we have actual physical evidence of their war with the Carthaginians, right? They actually destroyed the city of Carthage. When Hannibal, they is actually places in Italy actually named after certain things where Hannibal actually lived at, right? Because he actually was there for a couple decades, warring on their countryside. You dig what I'm saying? So there's physical evidence that he was there and he was a thorn in their side. It was very.
Oh, so
You dig what I'm saying?
that he actually made it to Europe in some capacity or another.
No, yeah, he was in Italy, like he was running around that bitch, fucking shit up. You know what I mean? His army actually landed there, and they actually lived there. You feel me? It was a thing that he wasn't going to be able to make it to Rome. They didn't think that his army was going to be able to make it to Rome, but the other cities and towns felt his wrath. You dig what I'm saying? Like, he was getting busy. You know what I mean?
Right.
He was getting busy.
I think what
He
Logic
never
is asking is, Chef, is do you think that there was some myths also kind of fabricated and unsubstantiated around Hannibal's travels and
Yeah,
his war?
because if you make Hannibal seem
propaganda.
stronger, then of course your military would have to be stronger to wipe him out, at least to defeat him.
Yeah, but I think that, far as wise Hannibal, I think, it could have been terrifying to the Romans, because they kind of felt invincible, and knowing that you had another army that's in your backyard moving closer to the city of Rome. They felt as though Rome was the city on the hill that couldn't be, you dig what I'm saying, conquered. And just to know that there's a army running around and could eventually, you dig what I'm saying, attack the city of Rome, I think that did, put fear in them. And they probably used it as propaganda to to get more war funds. And but it had to be real though. Like,
Yeah, something
it
was
had to
real.
be,
Yeah.
yeah, that it had to be real. Yeah, even the coins that we
It had to be
have
a
come
real
from
threat
Italy.
to some degree. Do
Yeah,
you
I ain't gonna say the
is there
sum.
anything?
Don't even minimize it. It was real. He was
Right.
there. Like,
Yeah, who was that had some Phoenician background? Was that Mussolini or something? It was one of them North Africans, bro, that had Phoenician background. Or it might have just been Hannibal. I just thought
it was
all
Hannibal.
of it. Right, okay. I thought it was a more modern one, like Mussolini or Gaddafi, that had the Phoenician ancestry or some shit like that, though. But yeah, I'm probably confusing that. But go ahead, y'all. Go ahead, my bad.
I was gonna add, man, big up everybody. I was gonna add, y'all leaving Scipio out of this. So you gotta remember, Hannibal's history is tied to Scipio's history, because without him defeating Hannibal and that whole little battle going on, you wouldn't know about him. So as Scipio, when I'm recording history, of course I'm going to embellish Hannibal a little bit, because I want to be a bigger conqueror. You understand? So I gotta have a worthy enemy, so that I can give more respect for the victories that I made and justify me even marching on Carthage. And another thing, you gotta understand geography. Hannibal didn't sail to Italy. He went across the little channel in Spain by Ceuta, and then he marched from Spain. And that's why they say he went over the Alps, because the Alps divide Italy from France. So he marched all through Europe, and those were the places he was terrorizing. Those were Roman outposts. so they knew he was coming. He just didn't go to Italy because he didn't have no boats like that.
Yeah, I've heard that. That's the part I heard.
Yeah, they had to build rafts and things for them elephants for across the, I think, what river, the sea, one of them river over there.
Too low. Yeah, Walter Williams was the first person I heard to kind of dispute it. And even though I don't give Walter Williams a whole lot of credit, it did kind of make a lot of sense. And I kind of looked into it, and I don't know if he was the first person to disagree with the elephants, but apparently that might have been a talking point other people had too.
Well, supposedly they got the evidence of the trees being cut and how he built the rafts and all of that. Some scientific, they went back and they could tell that this happened. The forest was had to redevelop because he cut down some of the trees.
Do you think there could be anything to that? Like, do you think that there could be like, they say that about Plato too. They say that Plato is somebody that they just embellished on and basically kind of made up somebody to give themselves some kind of moral momentum going way back then. You think there's any truth to that kind of shit?
No, I don't think Plato made up.
Like none of the Greek philosophers, you think all them people were actual real people?
Nigga, Logic, you sound like you in the chambers, nigga.
Yeah, he can turn that mic down.
That nigga in the chambers.
They got a lot of history because Plato come way after Thales. So that would have to say that Thales is made up. All those people is made up that even lead up to Plato. Like Plato is not the beginning of their thinking. That's just what people know about that don't study the subject. That's just the popularity that's pushed out there because they had the most impact on reasoning. The reason Plato is pushed so much is because the Neoplatonics went into Christianity. So Plato was kept alive through that study. But there's a whole history of many philosophers before you even get to a Plato. Plato come like maybe 300 years later after philosophy started, maybe 5.
I had to read. I had to read Stolen Legacy. My daddy made me read Stolen Legacy, and that speaks about how all the Greek philosophers, great philosophers, studied in Egypt. So I know it's not true. I know it's not true, but I'm just saying that's one of the beginning guidelines that my father gave to me, so I wouldn't just fall for the Roman Greek mythology and shit like that. Because he hated when I used to bring up Greek mythology. He'd be like, "Hey, go ahead and study the ancient. They study from us." So that was just a elementary way of just getting my mind aligned with Blackology. But yeah.
Nobody told me
Stolen Legacy, nigga.
Nobody told me Hannibal was black except for black people. When I studied it, just general study, they never said. They said he was from North Africa. He was a
yeah.
No, only black people said he was black. I've never read that in my life.
I ain't gonna lie.
Well, it wasn't with me. It just seemed like the black people who did go into it did a little bit more research. It's like the person who controls the barrel of ink controls the history. So if you just want to put he North African and don't want to highlight that he might have been actually darker than his fellow compadres around him, then they're not going to put that. They're just going to put the bare minimum. It seems like us, of course, we just took a little bit more research and dove into it, and it covered more information. That's how I took it. I just didn't take it as only black people said it. No, it seems like the more research people who got into it said it, and then it spread amongst the masses.
To me,
that's my viewpoint.
That's more black people going into the Levant and claiming the Phoenicians were black, and then the Phoenicians are the people that started Carthage because they were black and they were sent over there to start the Carthaginian civilization. That's where that's coming in at, and that's more.
I hear you.
That's wrong. Those just darker people of the Levant, because I study things like I always bring this person up. That guy Richard Burton is very important in history because he's the one that first went to the interior of Africa. He found the route that opened up Africa. He's a white man from Britain. he got a commission to go to India, and he went pure native. He learned Hindi. He learned the dialect of Hindi. He joined the Nagas. He practiced Kama Sutra, all of that. Then he learned Arabic, and he became so dark skinned that the people that didn't know who he was thought he was just one of them. And so he could move around. He moved all into Ethiopia, all into East Africa, all into Central Africa, walking around, making maps, taking notes, picking up dialects, basically infiltrating. When he went back to Europe, they thought he was a native. They thought he was a native because he had got so dark. So this thing about color, you can see it in modern times where you can see a pure white person get confused for one of them North Africans for being out there so long in the sun. So when you start doing that, to my mind, I'm like, nah, them just some tan white folks.
So I got some pushback. So check it out. It wasn't black people who first intimated that Hannibal was black or Negro, right? It's white people. And how do we know this? Is because you can pick up J.A. Rogers' World Great Men of Color, and all of his shit is sourced from white people. You dig what I'm saying? Books that came out in the early in the early 1900s and the 1800s, right? Histories of Europe, right? So when I get home, I'm gonna crack open World's Great Men of Color and just under the Hannibal section, we're just gonna look at his sources and see which one of those sources is from a black person. It was none of them. You dig what I'm saying? So, you know, like I said, whether that stuff.
That's him being loose with language and taking, to me, what you would call pop history and sociology, and just claiming anything in Africa is black. Because he did
No. I'm saying that his sources was
even his sources.
Yeah, but those were white sources who was claiming Ethiopic lineage of Hannibal, explaining how certain tribes, Gramal, what was it? Libby, they was claiming that his father, the sources was claiming that his father was from, had lineage in certain Berber tribes that were more Negroid. You dig what I'm saying? And phenotype. What the fuck is that tribe called? Is it it start with a G? Not is it Grimaldi? Some shit. You dig what I'm saying? But it talked.
Gadar.
Is it Gadar?
Let me see. I'm still looking.
Grimaldi or some shit. You know what I mean? So it was European sources, you know what I mean, that was saying, you know, intimating certain things like that. But in deeper study, you know what I mean, those things like that fall by the wayside. You dig what I'm saying? Like, you know, once you do deeper study, but a lot of people got the Hannibal was black thing from J.A. Rogers. No, J.A. Rogers.
Hey, I'm talking that new shit.
I just think it's in the legacy of trying to show that Africa did great things. And that was all in the area where people was trying to say nothing came out of Africa. So now everything that they could find about Africa was being highlighted. And they was putting black on it to give black people some type of historical credit. And I think that's
right, which is why I say that's politics. That's not history. That's politics. Me.
Yeah, that's a pop. a modern, like I don't want to say modern, but a popular version for whatever political purposes they had at the time. But it's not real, true history. Because I'm more like Mujasi. I don't do the color thing back then. Like there's certain geographical areas where you know these people is this certain color, but once they start moving into certain the major cosmopolitan areas, it's different. They're more cultural, like they're more Carthaginian than they are black. It would be like you would be more American than you are black type vibe. Because they didn't think the way we think. So I think it's disingenuous to try and search and impose that on those people like that. You're gonna be confused all the while. I mean, that's how I feel about it.
No, that's good. I like where you landed, right? So I'm gonna redirect it. This gonna be all the way off topic, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Do y'all think world peace is a real thing based on how humans be interacting with each other? I think no. I don't actually ever see that happening. And I can go with because, right, just like we've been having conversations about the social hierarchies and how they are formed and what they actually, what role they be playing in society. I don't think that you'll ever get to a point where humans can completely shake that off, whether you got policy behind it or, people just not enacting on the policy. I don't think world peace. I think world peace is completely idealistic. What y'all think?
I'm an optimist, so I definitely believe in world peace. I believe everything can change if you move through love, but that's just to boil it down simple. But yeah.
I got a crazy response to it. I think it may happen, but because AI and the computers, like they might get to a certain way where they want to allow you, like the computer or technology want to allow you to do something that's abusive. No, serious. I really think
no, I hear you.
Where there's going to be certain things because the computer is going to be sort of learning to do things to benefit mankind. And if it senses something like, nah, mighty failure, this says it will hurt too many people in the world, this can't be done, and you're going to be cut off, them type of vibe. You understand? Like you have to get around it so much to where you won't have an opportunity because there's so much computer things going on. You understand what I'm saying? Like few years from now, you got certain countries where when you walk outside, you're on computer. You can't litter. You can't spit in Singapore. You gotta move with peace, or you gotta
chew bubblegum. You can't chew bubblegum.
So that's what I'm saying. Like technology is gonna force these people, I think, into that state. That's my response to it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back real quick. We have to be mindful when we use the term black that its origins are here. We have to understand that, blackness is something that was codified and institutionalized here, socially, legally, and politically. So we got to make sure we acknowledge that so that we don't try to paint the world or paint others under the lens of blackness when it doesn't apply because it didn't originate in other places.
Mel, that is it. That is it right there, Mel. That's the reason why I don't go back and apply and blanket that in history, because you don't see too much of the term black or even the kind of the idea of it being implicated to people's identities before the early 1800s, sometimes before the late 1700s. And so, and like you said, it didn't legally become codified until the mid 19th century. And so anything that we try to associate or connote as black is kind of inappropriate beyond the early 1800s, late 1700s. So it's difficult to use black as an identity moniker for anybody beyond that point.
I disagree.
I disagree vehemently with that. And I have an example.
Yes, sir.
One of Jamaica's first brightest college student, a black man, 1730s. When was it? Early comment during the 1700s. I think it's 1730. He was referred to as black. I've used this already in a discussion with Unc.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you his name, but I'm going to remember his name because I just got to.
But
Francis
you,
Barber, the one who worked on the library, the dictionary with Samuel Johnson.
No. I'm talking about the one who was friends with Isaac Newton, the Jamaican who went to he studied in London. He was a slave. He was
you are correct.
Francis Barber. He died and he went to work on the first dictionary with Samuel Johnson. He helped put the dictionary together.
Right. Oh, I describe black. I don't know if other people do it. I said it the other day on a panel here.
So you are. I do want to say this. You are correct. Actually, it starts in the 1600s. Colonists, especially here in my state, Virginia, as well as in the Caribbean, when slavery expanded, they began creating laws to distinguish Africans and their descendants from indentured servants. So they made it clear, started making it clear around the 1600s, who is who. So that's something that existed prior to the 1800s.
Yeah, but this is how I describe black. Because black people didn't come off the slave ship. Negroes came off the slave ship. Portuguese used the word Negroes and all of that.
Right.
But Negroes was for a
the caste system.
Yeah, but not only the caste system, as a descriptor. Because they weren't used during the early transition to the slave trade, they weren't using the English term black. Because they used black in England differently at that time. Because at that time, the Scottish and the Irish was also referred to as black.
As black, yeah, correct.
Although today they would never be considered black. But black is a state of being also, not only a complexion. When people lost their identity, they started to seek ways to describe and refer to themselves as a holistic group. We tried Negroes, and early black poet at the time would refer to themselves as the Negro, as colored people. We tried many different terms until into the 70s, 60s, 70s, we started to settle on the term black as a descriptor for those people who came off the slave ship, who lost their identity, and trying to find a meaning as to who themselves is. And then they exported it all over the world through music and art. Right?
That's because blackness is not just a race thing, it's social, legal, and political. So it has many facets.
Yeah, but legally and politically, the formal system has not really defined it. It's we as ourselves use it, sometimes not understanding the full meaning of what it is to be black. Because black is not about your complexion alone. Black is about your mentality as an individual in a holistic system. So I can say that I'm black, but I don't call Chief X black. And everybody in the panel know that I don't call Chief X black. Because I'm have a mentality of somebody who understands the struggle of people who still exist in an environment that is detrimental to them 400 years after coming off of the slave ship. So I don't.
Yeah.
Before you
I want to ask.
I just didn't want to leave a point. I want to comment if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Yeah, all I was going to say is two pieces. Everything you're saying, we agree with you. We was talking about prior to the 1500s. The problem.
No, black didn't exist prior to the 1500s.
No.
No, black didn't exist prior to the 1500s. Prior to the transatlantic slave trade, black didn't exist.
Black is the exonym. Those people had internames. They had names.
Yeah, they're different names. Yeah.
They didn't adopt the exonym to refer to themselves as. They didn't have an identity issue.
No, they didn't. Because they knew who they were, and they knew where they came from, and they know the culture, and they know what it was about. So black didn't exist.
Yes,
Can you
go
help
ahead.
me with just like finding some resources and help me and Anathema kind of read behind what you've read? Because that was our point, is that before the 1700s, you don't see Black people referring to themselves much as Black. You may have
No, it's
like a
white
small
people refer to them as
vernacular.
black.
But yeah, it was a
It's-
white thing, and primarily it was an
all right.
English thing. English,
It was a,
particularly
it was an
English. Yeah,
English
it
thing.
was an
The
English
story of
thing.
Three
And
Finger
so,
Jack in Jamaica. The
But
story of Three
Negro
Finger
means
Jack.
black. Negro
Yeah,
means
but
black.
but the word black in the story of Three Finger Jack depends on which story you read. Three Finger Jack was a runaway slave who attacked the British in Jamaica. They refer to him as black in several paragraphs. And then also the same story of the gentleman. I'm going to research him again. I can never remember his name. But
okay.
he has a painting. He has a painting or a picture that this black man, obviously black, studying the sciences.
And when was Three Fingers Jack written?
Just look him up. It was written in the, I think, in the 1500 or 1600.
Oh, that's when it started. That's what I'm trying to say. Prior to that period, you can't find that. That XML is not applied to us.
Prior to that, you can't find it. It's the British first. Yeah, because black was more a I don't know. They were trying to distinguish between the Negro and black themselves at that time.
Right. But when did it become a common colloquial definition of a group of people? Because we know it was part of a colloquial way of describing a group of people before it became codified in law. When was it more commonly sought amongst the English people, where they refer to anybody in a certain region, culture, and group as Black? When did we see it in the vernacular of the English?
The vernacular of English, that was probably in the late 15 or 1600s.
Earlier than that, I think
from
after the abolition of slavery.
No, from the English. He said the English because there
the
was
English
Portuguese.
After the abolition of slavery in 1806.
No,
I think they started using it after the abolition of slavery. In the writings, they start more using the word black.
So you would say after the 1800s, you start
but this is the thing, though. It's semantics, because Negro comes from negro and it just means black.
Yeah, but you have to understand the mentality of the people at the time. They weren't trying to distinguish, because Negro was first referred to, when the term Negro originally was used like those persons who you can subjugate, those persons who you can enslave were referred to as Negro. If you look at it, Negroes were those persons who you can subjugate. Because although we use words, words have double meaning. Like when you use the word thug today, or predator, or certain words, it's associated with a specific set of people. So Negro was originally referred, when you read it, and you start to look at it, it's basically those persons who you can subjugate it was referred to as the Negro. And then even when Baldwin early writing with the Negro, you realize that Baldwin started to pull back from using the Negro as a description as much as in his latter writings, as much as he did in his early writings.
Right. And so, and
I don't like talking. I don't like talking because I don't want people to know how deep I'm going up. I just want them to speak in India.
Two P's. This is, remember, about a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned to you, I said, I want to follow back up with you on the conversation of Black, because that's a different conversation and it's deeper. But I think we have to look at the epistemology of a word and the ontology of the word in terms of how Black folks have created themselves around Blackness. And for me, I don't see Blackness, I don't try to bleed Blackness into culture and spirituality and stuff like that. I've limited Blackness because it gets too confusing, convoluted, and it's not substantiated enough if we try to say that these Africans over here do all of these things and we have to call it Black. And so what's more concrete and much more evident is that when we look at how Black has been codified from a legal and a political position, and how Black folks had to array how they see themselves in the spectrum of the British colonies, and even if you want to go into the Spanish and the Portuguese and that whole idea of being a Negro, that's when it became an ontological way of how we understood ourselves. That's when Blackness became a political and somewhat of a social or legal identity and classification. And so it's at that point that I weaponize and use Blackness from that position. Anything before that, it's difficult for me to say like, well, this person was referred to by the English in 1731 as Black. And did the African view themselves as Black? I don't,
But
the British may have viewed them. Go ahead.
Yeah, but because we don't have all of that writing, sometimes that leaves us a problem. But what I use is what I use today to evaluate the situation. Because like when James Brown was using Blackness, at that height, James Brown gave Blackness and the descriptor of Blackness its ultimate power. I'm black and I'm beautiful. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Soon after, you realize that Blackness and the descriptor Blackness, because of the power that it had, was beginning to get corrupted, and then now was beginning to be replaced by the term African American. We were at our most powerful when we saw ourselves as Black, but then that was corrupted. It was corrupted, so now Black now was corrupted through other means. I'm not going to go down that line. Other people can describe. But you realize that we tend to step away from Blackness because how we describe ourselves as Black was our own creation. It was not given to us by, people might have called us that, but they didn't call us continually for it to take set. Because although they was calling us Black, they were still thinking of us as Negroes, as a population that can be suppressed. But we consider ourselves as Black, a population of our own creation, especially in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And then all of a sudden now, being Black wasn't being cool. It was now being a part of a bigger system, African Americanness. When the African was never Black, and the Americans, the original Americans, did not invite Blackness into themselves. So therefore, they're asking you when you call yourself African American and not Black, is to remove that part of yourself that is of your own creation. But nobody don't think about it like that.
Well, I agree with you. No, I totally agree. I just think there's a piece in this where this is why I love having this conversation. And thank you for doing this with me, Stupiz. Black folks, by the time we got to the cultural affirmation that we saw an expression of James Brown with Black and I'm Proud, because he popularized it. He popularized a new position that was already kind of gaining grounds amongst organizers and different people. But we can't talk about our ontological development of Blackness within ourselves without looking at it as a resisting form against whiteness. Because what was imposed upon us was that you were colored and this is white. You're Negro and this is white. And so our embrace of Blackness was antithetical to the system of whiteness that was imposing and oppressing us. And so
somebody drop a bomb. Somebody drop a bomb. A bomb after drop. No, because that's what people don't understand.
That's right.
That's what people don't understand.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get enraged as a person when you realize how we have been manipulated and what we decide who we are has been taken us away from us. 1989, the year another summer. Sound of the funky drummer. We was trying to embrace our Blackness, but what happened soon after? Jerry curl, black suits, fuck the police coming straight from the underground. Our Blackness has always been attacked.
Yeah.
Culturally, socially, financially. It has always been under attack. And when you start to read and look and gather more books and go back and you say, Jesus, this is a systematic plan. Because as soon as we gain an identity that we were comfortable with and that was promoting us, that we walked with our heads high and with a feeling of grace it was attacked.
Mm-hmm.
It was attacked and dismantled. And dismantled. No, black is only minimized to your race and not to what your culture is.
Not what your culture or your politics is.
Or your politics is.
Yep. And I got into a debate with somebody last year because I told them like I don't believe Barack Obama was black. And they had a hard time with me. They fought me. They ended.
Culturally, he's not black.
Culturally and politically, he's not black.
Politically, he's not black.
I compared
he has
him
never grown up black. Remember, Obama lived in Hawaii. He lived in Thailand. He came to America as a college student. Obama have known nothing about the black experience. He was protected by his mother's whiteness.
That's right.
And he know nothing about the poor experience either.
That's right.
He was a middle class. This is a middle class mixed dude. And there's nothing mixed by saying mixed because that's what he actually was. He was not black. Michelle gave him his blackness.
Come on.
To association.
I compared him to Frances Martinez. Is that her name? She was the vice president of Colombia. Marquez, Frances Marquez. And I talked about some of her early organizing days, her political views, her advocacy for the Afro-Colombians, Colombians. And I said, she politically is black. She's more blacker than Barack Obama will ever be because her socio-political disposition and why she moved in the way she did anchors her in her blackness. Okay? Because it's a certain outlook. It's how you see yourself in disposition to white imperialism. I said Barack Obama don't have that socio-political outview. So he's not black. He's an African descendant. I'm not going to take that away from him.
Can't take that from him.
Black.
Let me say this and finish. Let me just say this and finish. Because, as I said earlier, black has now become minimized to complexion. And that's a danger.
Yes. Come on, Stupies. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. So you would say black is the state of mind.
Go ahead, Stupies. I'm gonna let you.
No,
black is
black then.
Yeah. When we use state of mind, we're minimizing it. Black is an acceptance of who we are as a people, of our struggles, of our development, of how we achieve. Black is more than a state of mind. Black is a complete. Black is like the description for health. It's a complete mental, social, and physical.
Is Clarence Thomas black?
Huh?
Is Clarence Thomas black? Clarence Thomas?
Is he socially black? Is he socially black? Is he socially black?
In terms of your framework, do you consider him black?
No, but to answer the question, is he socially black? Is he socially black? Is he accepting that who he is as an individual, what he has achieved? Does he say that I have, as a black person who acknowledge that I am who I am, that my people have struggled, that we have maintained, that we have organized ourselves in an alien environment? Because let's be truthful, America was an alien environment to those persons who came off the ship and adapted to it.
Yep.
And gave ourselves an identity. So if you don't accept it, I can't call you black. Just like I don't call Chief X black. Clarence Thomas is an American. He's an American.
I would say Clarence Thomas at one point in time identified in his blackness when he associated. I feel like somebody told me, I think I read that he was part of the Black Panther Party or had associated with something with the Panthers. There was a point in time where he identified himself as a black man. He has a Gullah Geechee ancestry like I do. And there was a piece of him where his inherited experience helped him to identify with a socio-political framework of blackness. And then something happened in his transgressions and his politics where, like Stu P says, he moved to identifying more politically as an American, and he discarded and shedded his blackness.
But do
Again,
I
how
think
we
he had a, I think he
identify?
had a Melvin as a daddy. I think that's what it was. Like I remember something about his daddy, right?
uh-huh. What was about it that I don't know? I'm not sure. I can't remember. Go.
That nigga was his daddy. You know what I'm saying?
Got
You
you.
know, this picture Melvin from Baby Boy. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
So
got you.
you
Got
know,
you.
you got one of them niggas. You know what I'm saying? Keeping his foot knee deep in your ass all the time, right? And then when he get around with them white folks and they go to baby and patting you on your ass and shit, now you don't want to identify with what your daddy was.
That's right.
You know what I mean? You don't want to associate
Mujashi, do you
with
identify
your daddy was.
I'm sorry.
Identify as black?
Oh,
Mujashi?
hell yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, hell yeah.
You and Stu P's differ in that regard.
Stu P's identified as black. Politically, he's identified as black. He says he's a black man. And now that you understand me and Stu P's definition, you see why we call ourselves black.
I see.
Yeah, I'm an African descendant. I'm never gonna take that away. I'm a descendant of the Africans that were enslaved here who survived and helped to conquer the slave institution. So politically, I am black. Now, there's a lot of people who can say that they're African descendants and come from that same lineage and experience, but they don't identify as black. They're not black to me. And some of them will say I'm not black. Some of them will say I'm a Christian before they say anything associated to their black. And so, it gets complex like that. But when you create a more accurate and substantial definition of blackness according to the codification and the legal reality of America, then we get a better compass to be able to navigate what we term as black and what's not black. And I think it goes to our conversation last week where we was talking about the confusion around what black people is and what we attain and what's still there. Because what a lot of people associate as that's just the black in us, I call it Africanisms that's still here. And so what I call blackness is my socio-political views. My Africanisms is kind of the same things that I reformulated here and held on from my people's experience and heritage. I hope that answers your question, my brother.
No. The dangerous question to ask is, can you be black and American at the same time?
Oh, plead the fifth.
Corey, can you be black and American at the same time? Meaning that when you read the first line of the Constitution, that all American men are created equal. That's what it's saying. The first line of the Constitution. Can you be black and American at the same time?
Oh, excellent question. Excellent question.
I think maybe it was a time where you couldn't be.
I'm so sorry that you're chopping up.
Yeah, Corey, you're breaking up. Yeah. Corey, please say that one more time, my brother. Yeah, you're back up now. Yeah, say it again.
Yeah.
Can I? Oh, you can hear me now? So
yes, sir.
I think there was a time where you couldn't be black in America, but I think today in 2020 I'm able to be black in America. I don't believe maybe my grandfather would be black in America, if that makes sense to y'all.
Yeah. Oh, so you're saying
I might not even been heard.
So in 2025, you can both be black and an American at the same time. That being an American will not result in you losing your blackness. That you can become a part of a amalgamated society where your political beliefs as black does not affect your Americanness. Is that what I'm getting from you?
No, because I think America is a multicultural society. So black is a part of what makes America today, right? Our culture, everything about black is a part of what makes America today. You know what I'm saying? Now, like I said, maybe some time where that wasn't the truth, but today, yeah, blackness is everywhere. Everywhere I look, you see blackness.
So based on what you're saying, and I don't want to run away, I don't want to misinterpret you. Are you saying that America is a multicultural society, although it don't show respect for all cultures equally.
Right. But the thing is, like today, we got the ability to make America accept whatever we dish out. You know what I'm saying? I think America has accepted a lot of Black culture. You know what I mean? And continue to do it every day. I just think it's not it's not a cut and dry process where we can say, okay, today was the day where we started being Black.
Being American, not being Black, being American.
Oh, being American without Black? I don't do that.
Yeah, I don't see how that's possible.
Black.
You would have to be real clear about your political agenda in order to describe Blackness as separate from America. You would actually need to do that to do it.
But
so, I mean, based on the way that you're saying it, you already have it. So what is?
No, but Blackness is separate from America, because if there was equality, there was no need. There would be no need for us to reinforce our Blackness. Think about it. We would have just been Americans, right? If there was no need. So when it's Blackness was always the tool that we used to survive in the Americas.
No, but you're describing our relationship with America. You're not describing if we're not Americans. Just because we're not just because we don't like where we're at on the totem pole, doesn't mean we're not American.
I like that rebuttal. I like that rebuttal, because basically what you're saying, that although the Constitution say that we're not a stratified country, you're willing to accept, based on what you're saying, that there's some level of stratification in America based on the perceived classification of race. So you have just said to me that, listen, there are many Americas, and the America that we exist in, based on our classification, might not be the same America the Anglo-Saxon exist in. So is it the same America? Is the same place physically? I don't want to give away to my talking point, because I know that this was discussed in the two Americas. That it is stratified. So let me finish. Tomorrow after the class, we'll talk. I'll talk some more.
But it's still the two Americas, not the two equals, but the two Americas.
But it can't be two Americas if it's unequal.
Why not? Which other equal society are you talking about? For the other people that aren't equal in the other societies?
Because we argued this already. This thing have been argued already when we argued equal but separate, or equal but, because if it's unequal, it has to be separate. It exists on a land, and it cannot be equal and it cannot be unequal and the same. You understand? It cannot have inequalities and it's the same situation. That's the importance of political organization, is to increase equality, equity. It's not about fairness. It's about equal rights and justice. Peter Touch.
No, it's like more of an Arnold Palmer type of mix, right? Where you got 2 parts lemonade, one part tea, but all of it together is Arnold Palmer.
Yeah,
I'm saying you're describing a relationship, not. So like if I leave a country and something happened to me, American embassy don't show up. Mm-hmm.
Patrice O'Neal have a joke about the white baby on the keychain. And he made reference to this. A little white girl was lost on our boat, and they spent millions of dollars to look for that little white girl. She was out rowing and her mast broke and something wrong with her. Something wrong with our boat. But they spent millions of dollars to look for her. Yet still, a couple of years later, some black Miami Dolphin football player got on their boats in Miami, going to Bahamas, and the boat disappeared. Do you think that the amount of resources that was spent on the little white girl, was spent on the Miami football player? Let me answer that question. No, it was not. No, it was not. So now the argument is, although we wear the badges, and I'm a naturalized American, and I'm proud to be a naturalized American, although we wear the badges of being American, we understand that we live in a stratified environment, that some communities get access to more resources than other communities, in spite of the fact that we all call ourselves Americans. That some streets, that even when it's raining, the water, the irrigation system turn on in the middle of the rain because it's timed. Right? But I can go down to Overton and there's not one green driveway. But where I live in Whiteland, the grass is manicured, well cut, it's maintained constantly. The place looks like a park, but Overton is just 10 miles away, 15 miles away. And a whole total different situation. So, and they call themselves Americans also.
I mean,
and come back to what I said earlier, that we
you're
lost
making
our
a good point. You're making a good point about they would spend more money for the other child. But I mean, would another country spend as much as the U.S. would? Right? Like, so if we like I'm trying to distinguish, the two conversations about describing how unequal it is, in which country actually do we get support from?
Yeah, but we're making a mistake of comparing. We're not in another country. And that's what they use all the time to tell people that, listen, you're poor here, but you're far richer than the poorest Negro in Ethiopia. But you're still poor. Is it something to be celebrated that I am richer than every other poor person in the world? Because that's what many argument people reach at. Oh, you don't have it that bad. Don't worry about it. Imagine you could have been living in Cambodia. You could have been living in the Congo. You could have been living somewhere else, but you're living in the great states of the United. Don't mind that you're poor. It's that you're not as poor as. So now you get blindsided by the fact that your success that you think is better than the success of other poor people, but you're still poor when you compare it to where it is. I'm not comparing apples to oranges. I'm comparing apples to apples. And in this apple cart, we are at the bottom of the barrel. Not although our barrel is elevated 10 stories above other people's barrels, I'm not in their barrels. I'm not an orange. I'm an apple.
No, that's why I feel like when I look at a bigger picture where it stops making sense to me, right? When I'm not saying what you're saying doesn't make sense in America, but like if I look at other minority groups, right? People that are also under the thumb of the dominant, the people in power over them, right? So does that mean everybody who's not at the top is like not a citizen across the world? You know what I'm saying? Like I can't. But I mean, that's how you're describing our situation. So since it's not equal, that would make us not citizens.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right, that because what you're doing is that you're not. If you're going to compare, and we're going to compare, why not compare America, a first world country, to other first world countries? Example, the Scandinavian countries. Why we don't use that comparison? And so let's compare America. Although the Scandinavian countries have poor people, are their level of poor as affected as our level of poor? Why not use that example? Why use examples of comparing a first world country to a third world country? Let's compare.
I actually didn't say a specific country. I didn't say a specific country.
Are poor Brits actual Brits? Or are you saying that because they're poor, they lose their nationality?
No, I'm saying that although they're poor, their standard of living, the facilities that are available to them, shows that the country consider them as citizens. Shows that the country consider their well-being. The Scandinavian country show that the country makes an
safety net is there for them.
Yes, so it shows that they are not considered less than. You understand what I'm saying to you? They acknowledge that they have to be poor, but I am looking after you in spite of the fact that you're poor. I'm putting in social safety nets, and your children has access to all the facilities in spite of the fact that you don't have any money. Look at the Scandinavian countries. Don't compare a first world country to a third world country and say, oh, but the poor people in America, the richest country that ever existed in the world, is still better than those of Jamaica, one of the most indebted countries in the world. That's a bad comparison. But if you compare America now to Sweden, two first world countries, and take apples for apples and oranges for oranges, you will realize now that, oh, this look different now.
Excellent point, Stupid.
This look different now.
Yeah, and they don't even, I don't know.
May I comment? I've been trying to comment.
I'm hoping somebody else can explain that because I'm confused.
Yo, can I comment?
Yeah, I'm kind of confused as well.
Yo, do I have to cut people off, or can you be respectful around here?
Corey talking, but he's breaking up. That's why nobody was answering you. I know that Corey waited until 5 o'clock when I'm leaving work, you know, because Corey like these conversations, you know. I know that Corey like these conversations.
Well,
the thought provoking.
Go
ahead.
I just wanted to make 2 points. I think everybody, in light of this conversation, maybe I could do a class or Majasi, or people can just read this and then come back to this discussion about blackness and black. It's a short read too. It's like an article, so it's not no long read, but it's called Black Like I Thought I Was. That's the title. I think you should all read that.
Go ahead.
It's very important. It's called Black Like I Thought I Was. I don't want to give away the premise or the theme of it, but read that, and then when you come back to this conversation, because you said you're going to discuss it in the future, then you'll find it very relevant to the points, some of the points and things you were discussing earlier. And then I can enter the conversation once I read that in a different way. The next thing I wanted to say is when you did that comparison, because I know the Patrice O'Neal joke, but the joke is disingenuous because the joke is doing exactly what you were supposed to do in response to it, because it's pitting the blackness and this and that against the whiteness and red. Very good joke, because I love Patrice O'Neal. But when you go into the context of what really happened, the little white girl was trying to set a record. So everything she was doing was supported, it was insured, and she was doing this sailing trip by herself for this record-setting thing. So there was a whole lot of awareness of her situation. These other people, they were going on a birthday trip and could barely sail. And the Coast Guard discovered them. You know, the other two had drowned because they couldn't hold on to the boat long enough. The other man held on to the boat, and the Coast Guard actually saved his life. So this is crazy for when y'all make these arguments, and to big up what Logic is saying. Yes, the government will come look for him. Just like the government went to save the man.
Let me use it. All right. Let me use it. Since you're coming in.
Now, let me finish now. Especially if Logic said, I'm going to get a government sponsorship and call the Guinness Book of World Records and get insured and tell them I'm going to try and sail across this place all alone and set this record. The people were going to look for him with the same amount of fervor. It wasn't like the
Can I rebut?
was just on a sailing boat with a
Can I rebut? Can I rebut?
Okay.
Can I rebut? Can I rebut? Because you're using that example. Let me use a modern day example.
No, you brought up
And
that example.
I'm going to use Patrick Holloway. Hold on. Let me finish. I'm going to use St. Patrick Holloway, Patrice O'Neill joke about Holloway, the girl who got killed in Antigua. And I'm going to use the same example of the girl from Georgia who went to Mexico with her black friends and got beaten to death. Right? And we're going to see how it was investigated by the same body, the same American embassy, one in Mexico, one in Antigua. One was never stopped investigated until the young man, because they was going to give him the death sentence in Antigua, agreed to tell where that girl's body was, Holloway, who died almost 20 years ago. That was fully investigated until they came to a conclusion, even to what he did with her body. The black girl who was beaten to death by other black people, mind it, was pushed under the rug in Mexico. All of those black people are up here now. It wasn't thoroughly investigated. Even the embassy, when it was aware of the fact, did not do much.
The Mexicans turned over 2 Mexicans for that crime. Beat the shit out of them.
No, it wasn't 2 Mexicans. You don't know the case I'm talking about. It was a case of the black girl who went to Mexico with her black friends, and they had a fight.
To get the surgery. To get the surgery. To get the hospital.
No, not to do the surgery. She was on vacation with them, and a fight ensued.
Oh, okay. You're talking about that one. I know that one.
You know that one, right? You know that one. A fight ensued, and she died.
And she died
in the room, right?
But see, once again, what you're doing on is a disingenuous, because that boy got away with that first case. He went and did that to another girl in Peru, and he got caught. And then that's when he had to start turning over evidence, because he did it twice. Those black people didn't get caught for doing nothing again. They came back up over and everybody shut up and this and that about the death. Yeah, remember that boy that did that twice.
Okay.
He did that to the Peruvian girl.
The other day, Shakur died, a wonderful lady. When ABC announced her death, they didn't announce her death as her present name. I thought it was total disrespect, because ABC used her real name or government name, I can't remember what it is, to say that she died in Cuba. And then after way down, they made reference to what she's called today. And disrespect like that happens to us all the time. It's like not referring to, it's not
because she's on the books. And when they use that reference, come on, man, they're talking about how she's wanted, the name she's still wanted under. The government, I watched the reports too. They said the government still knows her as this and that.
No, that's not what the report said. How it started with her name. It started with her name.
Oh, okay. We must have watched a different report.
Right, the ABC report started with her government name, a name that she has not used for the last, how long ago, for the last 50 years?
Did she change it legally in the government?
Dread? Me upon mute. Dread me upon mute, Dread. Dread me upon mute. Dread me upon mute, Dread. Me upon mute, Dread. Dread? Dread me upon mute now. Me upon mute now. No matter for me upon mute. It's 2 weeks now. Is it 2 weeks, people? It's 2 weeks now. It's 2 weeks now. It's 2 weeks now. You see you? That's one of the most disrespectful things you could have ever said. You're minimizing this woman who referred to herself as she referred to herself. Was she capable of changing her name if she even wanted to, based on her situation? Why the fuck you open your mouth as such a shitty thing? Why the fuck you open your mouth as a black man as such a shitty thing? Was she capable of changing her name even if she wanted to? What did she fucking refer to herself as? And you tell me, did she change her name legally?
I got nothing to do with the government.
No, not a blood clot. Not a blood clot. You is a coon for that.
No, man,
You is a coon for that.
no, man, no, not cool.
You's a coon for that. Oh, Tishy, you sound like a white supremacist when you say that.
Why would I
Understand what you said. Understand how disrespectful you was when you said that.
no,
Understand the talking point that you use. You don't even understand how disrespectful it was. That's the hottest thing, you know. You don't even fucking understand it. You jump up, the first thing, it's the same thing a white person would have said. Did she change her name, Lee? Like a big fat white south from down south. You're on these white people too fucking long, you know. You're on these white people too fucking long for that to come out of your mouth. Anything else could have fucking come out of your mouth. Anything else could have come out of your mouth, Red.
You cannot tell the truth around this place, man. People get
Truth is a fucking coon, that's the truth. Did she change her name legally? That's the most coonish thing.
That's not a coonish thing, man. I don't understand how to refer to somebody by
Come on, y'all. Y'all sitting here letting them go back and forth like this, man. Come on, man.
I figured they just have to air it out, bruh. So
I think that
they wasn't getting too
they was gonna
much.
smooth it. I think they was gonna get to the smooth part, Brad. I'm enjoying it, y'all. Like, you know, because
y'all don't. This
you get to hear
crazy live court. This sounds absolutely crazy.
Yeah, because you get to hear a more worldly, passionate argument. Like, I don't get a chance to hear passion, you know, from other groups of people other than the African Americans, right? So the African Caribbeans got a different way to I guess vindicate their passion. I guess you know what I mean. So I'm interested to hear it. I want to see where it. I think they was gonna eventually get to a good place, though.
Hold on now. Hold on now.
Right, they're smart. They're arguing over a very small detail in a particular story. But we was talking about like trying to maintain your blackness.
What's the detail?
No, logic. Don't minimize it because Anathema and Stu Pease, they're having a disagreement because they're talking about Asada Shakur. And when certain journalists, when they publicized who she was, they used her government name, her born name, and not her trans. I saw
that.
And so Anathema made one point, and Stu Pease is pushing back on him because he's saying like, "Yo, it doesn't," you know. And so they just haven't. They got a difference on that piece. Point? I agree with what Stu Pease is saying, but I know it's kind of strong right now. So I've just figured they're grown men. They'll work it out. You know, they're
I only heard the screaming. I only heard the screaming. I only heard the screaming. What was that?
What Anathema said?
No, I don't. I just logged on to the YouTube. I'm doing something else. I just logged on to the YouTube and I heard you calling him a coon. So I'm just trying to figure out how did he earn it?
Brass, listen to what I'm saying. Anathema said out of his mouth, did she change her name legally?
Huh?
This is what this coon said about Asada. Did she? Why do I have a problem with them referring to her as her government name? Did she change her name legally? That's the most coolish thing a black man can say.
Oh man.
You understand why I'm mad?
No, yeah. I got it.
You understand why I'm mad?
No, yeah. I get it.
Now, let me put this on the record.
Big fat bomber clock.
So let me put this on record. I agree with you, Stu Pease, from the position of that name and identity. I don't agree with calling my brother Anathema a coon. He may have a. I don't agree with calling him a coon.
You're a coon for that argument.
I'm scared to say I kinda wanted to see how you can answer.
Don't say nothing, Chef.
No, I wanted to see how you can answer his question without calling him a coon, because it might be some relevancy in him, you know, asking you whether her name was changed legally or not. I think you dived off the deep end a little bit too quick. I don't think he meant it that way that you took his these. You didn't let him flesh it out.
Nobody's letting me talk. I just get called the coon.
Right.
Go ahead, Coon. Go ahead. Explain yourself, Coon. Explain why This woman who had to run for her freedom, now she go ahead.
Yeah, man. But listen now. Asada, right? We call her Asada Shakur. We respect that. I don't expect the government to respect that. The government is racist. Of course, the government is not going to respect her revolutionary name. They're not entitled to. They're the fucking government. Now, has she changed her name? Legally, they would be required to refer to her the way in which she referred to herself. But if that's just something she adopted and was anti-government and said, I'm not using them to change nothing, then of course, they're going to refer to her by her government name because they're not on our side. So why would you expect different? Like, you're the fool for even being triggered by that. Like, you're the fool.
You know what?
for
respecting you know what?
ABC to respect her revolutionary name. That's
Remember.
insane. That's why I didn't ask you the question. Did she change her name? Because then
remember Ali, what's my name, right?
You're not letting me talk. I let you talk. You said it was gonna make me finish. That is an outright disrespect then, because they're not representing her name change. I'll liken it is to the same way y'all still call that nigga Malcolm X, and he legally changed his name to El Haj Malik Shabazz, and none of you niggas will refer to him as that. And that's a disrespect to him, because you only want to highlight one aspect of him life that you think say I important. So go play games with me with this shit. If she didn't change her name legally, I don't expect the government to refer to her by a revolutionary name. What the fuck are you talking about? Unless I'm doing a documentary or some revolutionary reporter that have that side of the spectrum, and ABC don't. Now go on.
That was a good point. That was a good point. That was a good point.
That was not a good point. That's a weak point. That's a weak fucking point. I wish Ali was here, because Ali faced this. Ali faced this in the What's Your Name fight. You would have gotten your eye punched out of your head 100 times by Ali when you watch What's Your Name fight, right? When a black man identify himself as who he is and come into who him is, sometimes it don't matter whether him do it formally or him do it for himself and him continue that using that name for the rest of his life. It's not every black man pay $40 to get a name, and the ones who pay $40 use it for years, and we acknowledge it because that's the name he choose. Now, showing shots because I love to do that. Now, the other thing is, you're mentioning Malcolm. Malcolm had no problem with being called Malcolm. So although we don't refer to him as his name that he changed it to, he didn't have a problem in his life to be referred to as Malcolm. He only formalized himself and gave himself a Muslim name. But is there any written situation or any new situation or any video of Malcolm having a problem with himself being referred to as Malcolm? So you're using that excuse is bullshit. Who you talking to? You're talking to a fucker who read, you know, and who think. The first thing an unthinking bullshit artist like you would have said is, did she change her name legally? When you know that in many situations, people don't change their name legally. People don't. They go by the new moniker, and that is who they are, and we accept them for that. We don't require the other system to accept them. We accept them. And we should see it as a disrespect when they couldn't accept them. Because it was generally accepted in the black population, and everybody knows that it was generally accepted, including ABC, that that is what she's referred to as going forward. So when they refer to her as her government Christian name, is actually did not only disrespected her, but they disrespected everybody who accepted who she is today. You asshole. So you make somebody spit in your face and you smile and walk it off.
Did they mention?
I don't expect ABC to respect her. You do. Yeah. You're the fucking idiot. You're an idiot for thinking they will respect her. I didn't think it.
I don't ask for respect, you know. I don't ask for respect, I demand it.
You are the guppy for respecting ABC and not expecting ABC to be disrespectful. You are the guppy. Me, I'm a guppy and I got. Because me, I'm acknowledge her. So why would I fucking want ABC to acknowledge her?
When ABC
Listen,
is not
and that is why, there's a pushback against, and that is why there was a pushback against ABC. Brass told you that ABC got hell as a result of that, because many persons who brought it to other people of intelligence realized that ABC was not only disrespecting her, but was disrespecting us. So you need to understand when you're being disrespected under the slide. You need to understand that.
I don't respect them to respect me. You are an idiot.
Did they mention that she goes by Asada Shakur?
You don't have to claim it in court. All you got is disrespect, and that's what they do. So you
I don't think that was disrespect. Think about it. If her name wasn't legally changed, right? That could be just like a stage name or some shit. Like, why are we acting like, you feel me? Like, did they acknowledge that she goes by and is known worldwide as Asada Shakur? Did they mention that?
Yes, they did.
Okay, so then what are we arguing
No. Sheffrin, at the end of the
presentation.
At the end of the presentation. Listen to me, Chef. Chef.
No, listen. Everybody stop. Everybody stop. Just 1 second. This is the actual thing they fought hell for.
Chesmerard, one of America's most notorious cop killers and most wanted fugitives, has died in Cuba, we can report. The New York City native was 78 years old. Chesmerard, who also known as Asada Shakur, famously, was a member of the Black Liberation Army. She was convicted of killing New Jersey State Trooper Werner Forster during a shootout on the New Jersey Turnpike. That was back in 1973. In 79, Chesmerard escaped from prison. She was placed on the FBI's most wanted terrorist list and the New Jersey's most wanted list. In 1984, she was discovered living in Cuba, which gave her political asylum.
So, real quick, just some clarity. Chef, like I was telling you the other day, New Jersey don't play about her. They're always going to call her Joanne Chesmerard. So where they called her that, they called her that here, just ABC New York. The other sections of ABC, that's where anathema might be a little incorrect. The other ABCs, they called her Asada Shakur. New Jersey ABC didn't call her that. They called her Joanne Chesmerard. And they, hold on. And they did it out of, it was a disrespectful thing. It was a slight but it wasn't a slight on some Black liberation shit. She killed the New Jersey State Trooper. So she was America's most wanted, but she was on our most wanted since the 70s. When you go in the post office, she's the first thing you see. So it's Joanne Chesmerard.
You did the same thing though.
Huh?
You did the same thing in here.
What?
You called the other day when she died. You came in and said Joanne Chesmerard passed away.
You didn't hear
right?
The rest.
So and the rest. No.
Hold on, but don't use that. You didn't.
No, listen.
Why? Okay, go ahead.
I'll let you finish.
No. But
when you said it, then you further cleared up what we know her as. You dig what I'm saying? Like, so because the TV did the same thing. That was this. They actually said who she was commonly known by most people as. You feel me? Like you did the same.
Hold on, nothing. Finish up.
When you brought it to us. So I'm gonna finish that. But y'all can argue over it.
Stay right there. No, stay right there, Chef. But to the people that was in the room, I brought it up to see if anybody knew who that was. Because a lot of times in these chats, and I said that right after I said it. I said Joanne Chesmerard, because a lot of people in these chats, you and I know, Chef, really don't be knowing what they're talking about. So if I just say Asada Shakur, I said Joanne Chesmerard on purpose. And I said that right after, because right after that, it was like two people that was like, oh, Asada Shakur. Most people don't know her by Joanne Chesmerard. But I'm telling you, ABC New Jersey.
I didn't know that was her real name.
Yeah. That's why I was trying to say. It was like two people in here. I forgot who got it. But immediately two people was like, huh?
Me and Cuban.
It was Melvin and somebody else.
Yeah, and that's when I said Mujasi was in here. That's when I was like, oh, I was trying to see if y'all knew exactly who I was talking about, because most people don't know her as Joanne Chestnut. But if you go on the post office out here, it's just Joanne Chestnut. They don't refer to her.
Isn't that a salient fact about who she is?
Her
so
name?
If a news agency, yes, if a news agency references her as a documented name, right, and then tell you what she goes by, how is that crazy?
Because ABC.
How is that?
No, it's not crazy.
Can I answer that also?
Yeah. Let me just say this, and then Mujasi, then Anathema then Mujasi, real quick. Because ABC, the news I just read to you was from ABC New Jersey. If I go to another ABC, they weren't all calling her Joanne Chestnut. Other people were other news outlets were saying Assata Shakur. Assata Shakur is hated in the state of New Jersey. She killed a New Jersey state trooper. So it's specific to us. So I don't know if that was. I'm gonna go. You know what? Y'all go ahead. I'm gonna go find another one to see if they called her that on there too. That'd be interesting.
I appreciate them giving full context to both names.
I saw the exact same report in New Orleans. The same clip.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And what I said is, when you look at the beginning of the clip, they use the real name in referencing her being a fugitive.
You know, I think the piece that I stand on this.
Listen to this, Mujasi.
Okay.
Assata Shakur, once known as Joanne Chestnut and convicted of killing a New Jersey state trooper, has died in Cuba. The Queens native was a one-time member of the Black Liberation Army. She was involved in a shootout on 1973 in the New Jersey Turnpike that killed Trooper Werner Foster. She maintained her innocence throughout the trial, but was sentenced to life in prison. 3 armed members of the BLA broke Shakur out of prison in 1979. She later surfaced in Cuba, where she was granted political asylum by Fidel Castro's government. In 2013, Shakur became the first woman to be placed.
So just notice the difference.
Big difference.
The one in New Jersey, it's
big difference.
Joanne Chestnut, also known as Assata Shakur, and then later when they name her, they say Chestnut. But on CBS, it says Assata Shakur, also known as AKA Joanne Chestnut, and then later in the ad it says he kept saying Shakur. So did he refer to her? That's CBS. That's just CBS and ABC. So I get y'all point. I'm just saying, I just want y'all to know, New Jersey's going to slight her.
Yeah.
Period.
Right.
They're going to slight her because of what she did here. I don't want you to think this is some kind of United States political thing. New Jersey has no love for Joanne Chestnut or Assata Shakur, either one. They got no love for her. She killed.
But there's also absolutely
the difference in the two.
So CBS has love for her. So CBS has love for her.
No, but they didn't disrespect her. They didn't. You need to know when they get disrespected, man.
Wait, because I want to get Mujasi in there. Hold on, Nathema. But did you notice? Hold on, Nathema.
They have a real issue about the future.
Anathema. Hold on 1 second, brother. But did you notice that instead of saying she killed, there's words in media.
Words are important. Yeah.
He said instead, the first one said she was convicted of killing, or she killed a New Jersey state trooper, James Warner. We all know. We actually learned this shit in school. But CBS said she was involved in a shootout that led to the death of this New Jersey state trooper, Warner, and she maintained her innocence while having asylum in Cuba. Words, you cannot tell me that the media doesn't know how to play words, because that's their job.
They do. And that's the whole point. That's the piece that I just wanted to emphasize. Wherever anybody falls on this, the media is always politically polarized. So everything that they report on and how they report it, the vernacular, the words, everything they put together is almost orchestrated for a political slant. How they frame and set up any type of thing that they're reporting on is going to have a political slant. And so it's hard to sit up here and make the argument they should respected when anything that they're going to say, anything that they're going to frame is going to have some political slant. And some of them are going to be more neutralized or maybe more liberal in how they report on her. And others are going to be politically charged to the times and the environment that they're, founded on in terms of their political slant. So that's the piece that I hold with that. And that's why I think Stu Pease is making a very valid point, because he knows like it's a very disrespectful thing, because he knows how they're framing it. They criminalize her even after her death. They're trying to control the narrative of how the public views her in that situation. I'll end there.
I got a question.
And I'm saying I expect
Tony, in the chat, what you trying to say?
Oh my God.
No, because see, anathema, when we have these conversations, sometimes when y'all back off of shit, part of these conversations, anathema, why I try to tone down the narrative, is because then it gives license. I don't even know how to deal with this post. I don't know. There's a post in the chat that's bothering the hell out of me right now, and I'm trying to figure out, should I calm the hell down? So, Tony, you might want to speak on that.
I can't see the chat, man. I don't watch chat when I'm there.
You see that shit, Chef? Am I tripping?
Nah, I ain't see it.
Look in the general chat real quick.
I'm not saying
I've been noticed.
Is that a bridge?
I've been noticed that. I mean, he can come and explain it.
I don't know. I think y'all missing the point, man.
No, we're not missing your point, but I'm curious for Tony to explain that, brother. You might have to come off mute and kind of give some backing to what you're posting with that.
Yeah.
Is that Stormtrooper Tony back at it again?
Did you see that? Look in the chat. I'm trying to like. I know the immediate me is a different me, and we may never see him again. But I don't know if that's just me being upset, I guess. Am I tripping?
No, that's polarizing. That's charging. And I'm gonna, give Brother Tony the opportunity to kind of explain that. There's no attack on you or nothing like that, but just kind of give some context to that. I mean, you're right to hold your silence if you choose to, but at least give some context with that, because none of us is going in that direction with the history of our sisters. So to say that, it would be nice to put it on the table for discussion. Right, you have that, because nobody here right now in the Discord is coming from that angle.
He's typing out a response right now.
Oh, you said
I said what I said.
Okay, let me help you.
Let's explore it. No, don't kick him yet. Don't kick him yet.
No, I want to know. I think he was even trying to refer to Stu Pease. I think he spelled Stu Pease wrong.
Stu Pest. No,
I ain't talking about that.
Oh, he said.
But in the general chat, this dude just called the sister stupid, and basically do the same thing that dead white dude did that got shot in the neck. Some Negroes will have to be interviewed thoroughly, because you and I can have different political opinion, but for a Negro to put that up there, this Negro is worse than a lot of puller. I don't know what this Negro is. I don't know. Oh gosh, Jesus!
I was going to bring up controversial things too. I was going to bring up a controversial thing, but now that he wrote that, I think I'm just going to leave my controversial thing alone, and I'm gonna let y'all handle whatever that is. No, go ahead, Chef, and Corey, say it.
Yeah. If it's for the conversation, go ahead.
This is always the difficulty I have with free speech. Right.
But it was a young man. One of the young men. I can't think of his name. He's still locked up. He was one of the ones that went in there and broke her out. She was, because I heard a documentary of the young man's mom talking about the situation, right? I think she was like a lot older than this young man who was in love with her. And, you know, the mom felt like she kind of manipulated the boy, you know, knowing like he was young, but in love, you know what I'm saying? And she kind of took advantage of that situation, which caused him to see fit to go in and him and his homeboys, I guess, break her out or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So, yeah. You know, because before the whole thing, like, he was like staying at her house and, you know, he had like access to the guns and shit like that. Like, it was a lot of shit, you know, and, you know, hearing from that mom kind of made me feel a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get that little documentary.
There's more to it, right? Like,
yeah, it's more to it than that. You know what I mean?
That's why I wanted Tony to come off mute or at least explain his sentiment. You know what I mean? Because like I said, is always we look at it from a standpoint. Like I didn't know too much about Asada until she passed away. So when I started looking into it, it's definitely, but it's even what is another brother that's on death row right now that I always followed for a long time, Mumia Jamal. Right. And it's one way to look at his situation, but even in his situation, he don't deny. You know, when you listen to his story, it's like it was either the cop or me and my brother. You dig what I'm saying? So, however you look at it, he say he don't remember. He say when he woke up, the cops was beating on him and he was chained up in the ambulance. But he remembered the cop firing and his brother getting shot, and it went blank from there. You dig what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So he wrestled with the cop. He got shot. His brother got shot, and the cop was dead. So
yeah, they interview him in prison. They interview him in prison. You know, they interview all of them. Like I gotta get this because I listened to this about it last year. I listened to the whole little documentary thing, but yeah, I'm gonna get it back. But go ahead, Chef. My bad.
Yeah, so it's like in certain situations, it's almost like, you know, the cops is being aggressive. Did we act out of self-defense? Should I be on death row for, you know what I mean, acting it like my brother did? I'm shot. You feel me? Like, if I wrestled the gun from the cop and he died in that, they was trying to kill me. My brother did. Like, so, you know what I mean? If the cops opened fire on the side of them and they defended themselves, you dig what I'm saying? Like, I'm mixed about that. Like, yeah, you should be held accountable, but should you be on death row? Like the law should be looked at differently. Should cops have the right to just murder us? Should we be able to defend ourselves in the act of being assaulted? Like, that's the real argument to me. You know what I mean? I might be off point, off topic a little bit. You dig what I'm saying? But I think they're the real you know, arguments that should have been had around people like Asada and Mumia. You dig what I'm saying?
Absolutely, absolutely.
If they just lay down their lives just because there's a cop. No, they shouldn't. You feel me? But, you know, calling her just a straight cop killer, she had her day in court. She fucking lost. Like, so what should we do a show where we actually go through the case? You dig what I'm saying? And see what really happened. That's what I want Tony to speak to, other than just saying she's a stupid bitch. You dig what I'm saying? Like, bro, what are you really saying?
We learned the case. We learned the case in school. They teach that here. And in the case, Chef, you take these. Asada Shakur, she had no gun residue on her hands. And when they shot her, her arms were raised. And that's medical testimony. So we can go through it
but it starts from that basis. She got convicted essentially because she was in the car with the Black Liberation Front. So that's just like
Tony answered. Tony answered. He said, "I said what I said. Kick me out, nigga. Nigga. Think I care? I already told you I'm not participating in the chat because you constantly mute me. So I'll pass. I'm not telling my daughters or nieces to look up to her. You're all local."
Well, I don't think we're talking about my daughters, or I don't think any of us are in here. Even when we had these conversations, I don't think we're talking about daughters and nieces. This is just a story. Part of the reason why I removed my ability to kick people, Chef, and ban people, Chef, is because in the moment, I'm a person that'll just do it and then ask questions later, like, try to figure out what happened later. But I've learned that that's not effective. But I don't necessarily know how to feel about that particular one. So I'm gonna just remove myself from it and let the powers that be DQ logic.
Hold on. Before you go, I'll say this. Tony, the fact that you would say something incendiary like that and not give an explanation, like, we all in here together. You dig what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? That is kind of fucked up that you won't even explain what you're saying. You dig what I'm saying? Like, that's not fair to us. You feel me? That's not fucking fair. And everybody in here probably, you if you explain it the correct way, other than just being angry, what are you angry about? That's what I want to know. Like, how did she offend you for you to call her a stupid bitch? And like, what are you mad about? Like when I called Nzinga a bitch, I'm telling you, she was involved in enslaving black people. I'm the result of that fucking atrocity. So when people started defending her, I felt as though I could take it up a notch. You know what I'm saying? So if Asada did anything to black people, that, you know what I mean, did she push our cause back? Was like, what did she do to make you feel as though, you know what I mean?
All I'll say is this. All I'll say is this. All I'll say is this. Whenever our people in 2025 and the situation that we're in today are supporting people like that, it only exacerbates the craziness that some of us have inside of us to start forming our own governments within America, to start becoming combatant. That none of that works. You're not going to start a new government and then we uphold these people and then we think it's okay to do these things and then we do those things and we look stupid. We have to stop acting like we're going to overthrow the government and we're going to change the laws with guns and we're going to get together and get a militant group, and that's all stupid shit. It's not going to work. It only pushes people back. It only pushes young kids back, like thinking like, oh, we got to be militant. Like you can be militant all you want, but you ain't going to do shit. You've never done shit. You won't be doing shit with guns against the military or the government. It's just ridiculous, dumb, crazy, not logical thinking. Like, that's not going to work. You either participate in the fucked up system that you live in or you create your own system. But having to come in here and oh, this woman was a militant, she was for socialism, like Mandani, she's a socialist, she's not part of any kind of Black American, she was just a socialist. That's what she stands for. She wasn't.
I'm a democratic socialist myself. But go ahead, bro.
No, that's it. That's all I wanted to say. I mean, we can't be upholding militant people. It's just we can uphold a lot of other people. We don't have to be upholding militant people. It's just stupid. It's not going to go nowhere. It's a good feeling. That's all it is. It's going to make you feel good. Oh, we got this person that's our color, and she's a militant, and she, but she ain't doing nothing. She didn't really do anything. Like, I just don't get it. That's why I don't get. Like, I don't get like why we pull up these people, and I really don't get it. Like, when we have so many other smart people in our own communities that we need to be put, we're bringing up this person. So I don't have respect for this woman. It's not the way I think we're going to get anywhere. And if anything, people like that actually push back our progress, not put it forward. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to go back on mute. If I said it, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard, but hey, these are the things that really piss me off when we support people like this.
Shut the fuck up now. Shut the fuck up now.
I
actually appreciate.
No, don't do that, Stu.
His point of view.
Yeah, please. Yeah,
I actually appreciate it.
Yeah, because
my apologies.
Yes, Corey. I thank you for the spirit of that, Corey. Because Stu, like, I believe in what Brass and DQ and Hits and Logic has established here. Like, I really do. We cannot be an echo chamber. We gotta allow people to have diverse perspectives and frameworks that they put on the table and feel safe enough to do it, to share it amongst some intelligent brothers like we are, like y'all are, and to be able to have that discourse. We cannot bash people and call them names and stuff just because they have an opposing view that's not ours. So let's try to create a better space and environment so people can share. Thank you, Tony.
You can chain
Tony,
his
thank
ass
you
up
for
to
your
the wall,
sharing your
get on
piece,
that-
brother.
My apologies.
Chain his ass up intellectually to the wall and commits to beat the fuck out of him if that's what you need to do. But intellectually, though, you know what I mean?
My apologies to him, and my apologies to him also, and my apologies to the group. But me as a Negro, a black man, a nigger, who stands on the shoulder of Nat Turner, who stands on the shoulder of Sam Sharp, who stand up on the shoulder of hundreds of black
Dr.
revolutionaries.
Man. You stand on the shoulders of Dr. Man. Keep going.
Look here.
Leave Dr. Ben alone, man.
All right, I can't use it. Who stands on the shoulder of Dr. Ben? Because that pseudo guide me to enlightenment in terms of figuring out that he was a pseudo. But, so I stand on his shoulder. But there have been many revolutionaries as black people throughout the 400 years who have died and not make an impact, but they have died for a cause. Right? But this Negro without a cause, because the first thing Chef said was, should we defend ourselves against the police? This was 1973, and this still happening today. So did the brother die without a cause? Did the brother spend the rest of his life in prison without a cause? Did she escape and have to be exiled to Cuba without a cause? Or did she shine light on a problem that continues to exist today? These Negroes are going to tell about the revolution if one should be necessary or if one should happen. These are the Negroes that was with Nat Turner who went run and tell Master, Nat Turner is going after the armory. He's going after the armory. We have to get the cannon and we have to stop him. These unenlightened Negroes who know nothing of history, who claim that they know history, and realize that there is many ways to make a change. Sometimes we use the political, and sometimes it has to come through force. But we're not taking anything off the table. We're not taking anything off the table.
Even your solutions are going to require some kind of diversity.
Yeah,
even your solutions are going to require some kind of diversity. And what you got to realize is that you would put all of that under the spirit of resistance, right? Like you can't minimize any of that momentum in any direction because it's needed. Right? We're not talking about a malicious world domination. We're talking about people who are like fighting discomfort where they live. You know what I'm saying? So where you might have some diverse opinions on how to actually go about doing that, you absolutely need to keep that spirit alive. So it's kind of twofold, right? Like I mean, I don't necessarily agree with what you're saying, but I get what you're saying about the militantness. But I wouldn't discard that completely like that. Like it's the whole ideas behind it, not necessarily the actions.
I think what the brother is trying
to Logic. I thought maybe you would kind of, as he was saying that, you know what I'm saying, and maybe he didn't say it in a way that everybody liked, but I kind of thought about you a little bit, Logic, as he was saying what he was saying, like, because I think that's kind of your sentiment, like picking up arms and being militant against the United States government. I hear in your sentiment a lot like that's a kind of a futile effort or even stupid in the way that he put it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
I don't wholeheartedly disagree with it, but it's like I think the way that he's saying it as if we got to remove that sentiment completely. And I'm saying that you're always going to have people with diverse views on how to handle a situation. You get what I'm saying? That's not going to come from one monolithic voice within a community. You know what I'm saying? So if you stomp that out completely, you almost start to dampen the momentum of change at all. You get what I'm saying? There's a balance there. You know what I'm saying? Whereas I may not go as hard as he or go as hard as somebody else as far as looking at the inevitability of a head-on collision with the superpower. I may not, that might not be what I plan around, right? But at the same time, someone else who might plan around it, we kind of got a similar goal. You kind of get what I'm saying? Neither one of us is trying to dominate the world. We're doing that out of the discomfort of our current position.
Can I say something, please? Allow me to say this. 80 years ago, Winston Churchill used a poem to motivate the English people during the World War II when they were battling the Germans for the English channel between England and France. And they used a poem by Claude McKay, "If I Should Die." And I'm going to read the first stanza of the poem, because if I should die, if we must die, if we must die, let it not be like hogs, hunted and penned in an inglorious spot, while around us bark the mad and hungry dogs, making their mock of our accused lot. If we must die, oh, let us nobly die, so that our precious blood may not be shed in vain. This Negro don't understand history, don't understand the challenges Claude McKay faced over 100 years ago when he wrote this poem. History is important, and Black history is one of the most important treasures that we can pass on to our children. When we have these Tuesday discussion, when we're in this room having a discussion, we're actually having a historical discussion. When we say sometimes Negro don't get paid, or we say white people sprinkle freedom around the world. We're having historical discussions. And when we minimize our attempt for liberation and calling people who attempted it stupid, speaks volume for us as a people. That when you are hunted by dogs and hogs and put on those train carriages, and don't say it can't happen because it happened 8 years ago, what will be your excuse? What will be your excuse? History is important, and when we're in here, most of the things we're discussing here is history. Understanding the past that we can move forward as a people. We're not admonishing and we're not disrespecting. We're not doing none of that. But go ahead.
So, Chef, I apologize, I'm in the car, but so just because no matter, can y'all hear me?
Corey, you on the concrete.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can't hear you, but we can't hear you, Corey.
Okay, to speak to what Chef
I can hear you, and when I can I clear that up.
Just so we get some clarity with Assata Shakur. Assata Shakur should not be painted when we're using revolutionary. Let's use it correctly. Assata Shakur was a Black Panther.
the guns and all of that with the Black Liberation Front, that was a response. They weren't going out to kill to change anything. The Black Liberation Army, that was self-defense. And it was kind of what Chef was talking about. That's why I say the more you learn about her, different teachers, it's funny because different teachers in New Jersey teach Assata Shakur differently. But the one that gave me the most clarity was literally the first one that taught me about Assata Shakur. Their whole thing was defending themselves against the state, because you got to remember at that time, cops was killing people, like killing Black people specifically, and there was no retort. So these guys are basically just saying, you know, we're going to have a state defense, and it's a self-defense. We're not attacking. We're not going to go kill them. It's just if they raise up a gun on you unjustly or they try to beat you unjustly, defend yourself. And it's ironic that when she got shot, her hands were in the air when she got shot. So a lot of the stuff that she held close to her as far as the BLA, you know, it is what it is. But I wanted to speak to Tony's point for just a half a second. I'm glad that I thought first beforehand, because a snap reaction would have just been to make him disappear. But in the same token, it would be very hypocritical because Barack Obama calls her a terrorist and a fugitive. And even when he hasn't had to do it as president of the United States, I think he was the administration that raised the bounty on her and was pushing for them to release her. So politically, I haven't really heard too many people politically in this part of the hemisphere speak about her any other way really other than how Tony spoke about her. So I mean, if I'd have to be him saying it in that way probably was just in the moment a little crazy for me. But the government sees her similar to probably how Tony sees her, as purely just a terrorist and a fugitive from justice. So, but Amnesty International looked at the case, and even they say it was a racial decision. So it's a polarizing conversation. So it is what it is.
Right. So, and if just a quick second, right? So with that point that you're making, Corey, you're right. That is something that I typically struggle with. But where I landed is more like, so when we're looking at people behind us with that particular outtake about being militant, it's hard to look at their scenario, their extreme environment, and be like they overreacting, right? So I'm more so talking about us today having all this advantages of the data and all this kind of other stuff. For us having the ability to devise a plan, and based on listening to what people are trying to accomplish, the head with America doesn't even seem necessary to me. You know what I'm saying? That's more of what my point is. If y'all just trying to build a pipeline where y'all can exchange goods with Africa, you don't need to go to war with America for that. You know what I'm saying? Like that wouldn't be essential to that.
But that's not what we're saying, Logic. We never talk about pipelines of bridging.
No, that was a point.
Why
Was
you added that?
That was the point for Corey. No, but it was from previous conversations that me and Corey had. It was a point directly towards him.
Oh, because you're convoluting the conversation. Because this is it. Have you ever watched The Herd Sheep? Anybody ever watch The Herd Sheep? You have the shepherd and one dog. And that one dog manipulates all the sheep. Hundreds of sheep, that one dog. And then when I use that, and then what it brought me to is that we have been heard it so much, and we have now confirmed that one dog can herd hundreds of Negroes, and even having us believe that if we don't follow the order of this one dog, we'll have detrimental effect. We have been herded, and Barack Obama is a smooth asshole. I love him in some things, but when you break him down, You realize that it was a system guy. It was a system guy. What's wrong with the system? Right? We heard it. When he was in power, he was that one dog herding us, having us conform. Thank God for Cuba that it accommodated her. I'm not calling her a saint, and I'm not giving her a sainthood. Right? And the young man who went away for a long time because his heart belonged to her, I'm sorry for him. I'm sad for him. Not sorry. I'm sad for him. But that was a decision that he chose to make. His mother can demonize her all she wants, but her son loved her so much that he thought that her freedom was warranted. He exchanged his freedom for her. Right? And it was a decision, he made a decision as a man, no matter how young he was.
That's definitely love. I think the point his mom was trying to make, those two things, is she don't think he was mature enough as a man to make that decision, right? She thinks that he was more manipulated to that decision. But I do hear you, right? For being young and in love, you know what I'm saying?
I understand.
And it was no making my mind different. You know, when I was young and in love, it was nothing you could tell me. You know what I'm saying? It was nothing you can explain to me to change my mind. So I definitely understand where you're coming from. As you know, that was his decision. Definitely. Go ahead.
Is she a martyr? Does dying in exile make you a martyr?
This is the most fucked up thing, this dude. So him come with a white talking point every fucking time. And then people don't like when I call him a fucking coon. What is a martyr? What is a martyr? Anybody was worshiping her?
Wait, what y'all saying? Hold on, real quick. What y'all saying? What y'all talking about?
Does she die in exile make her a martyr?
No. I don't think so. I think for who though? Because I don't think we're in the, like y'all was saying, the fight is different. I don't think right now the black, I mean, everything she represented at the time, the Black Liberation Front, the Black Panthers, the armed resistance and all of that, I don't really see a lot of that in society right now. Of the cops trying to kill me, I'm gonna kill them. And then a lot of people, like you said, I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of this generation, I don't even think they really know who she is. Because I know, as soon as you see Shakur, this generation's thinking Tupac. I'm telling you that right now. So when you say a shot at Shakur across the country, I would say a lot of people probably was like Tupac's mom or something silly like that. They don't know that, the connection. So I don't think she died a martyr. I think she felt like she was wrongfully convicted, and she lived in a time where you could go to Cuba. I think the fact that they never actually got her is impressive, because I know they wanted her. They definitely wanted Assata Shakur. The government, the United States government, definitely wanted Assata Shakur, dead, live, locked up, or otherwise, and they didn't get it done. So no, I don't think she died as a martyr. But I got a better question. Why would you ask? Why would you ask that, Anathema? Can y'all hear me?
I hear you. Atima, your mic breaking up. This is what I'm going to say. I wouldn't consider her a martyr today, but martyrs are sometimes regurgitated, for want of a better word, meaning that in the future, if the cause for liberation might require force, her imagery can be drawn upon. So she's a tool in the toolbox that can be used in the future.
Perfect.
If necessary. Right?
Like,
but is she a martyr today? No, she's not.
No, like Che Guevara in Cuba.
Right, but if the time comes, but it's necessary to use our imagery to portray some level of resistance, she can be used as a tool. Yeah. But what happened now is that we are in a time and space where we become comfortable believing that the protections of the law has been magnified to protect us, and we can use the laws to manipulate ourselves into safety. Not realizing that we still have Sandra Bland, we still have George Floyd, we still have that 7-year-old boy who was playing with a toy gun in the park. What's his name? This is the boy who was playing with a toy gun. Not realizing that. But if these things
manipulate our way into safety, that's like we'll never be safe.
Huh?
What you mean by manipulate our way into safety?
That's a
That sounds
name.
like we'll never be safe.
I'll never forget that name. I'll never forget that name for the rest of my life. That name is Tamir Rice.
Tamir Rice.
Tamir Rice. Yeah.
The
That's a name
response
that'll
of
always stick with me.
Right, the 70s response would have been totally different to those things. Imagine in the 70s, the image of George Floyd was flashed across the television. Imagine in the 70s if that happened. What America would look like for 2 months. If California burnt down as a result of police beating, imagine what George Floyd would have done to the psyche of those individuals who existed in the 60s and 70s.
But in the
We know that things were happening.
People would have stood around filming it. They would have stopped it. They would have engaged immediately. You wouldn't have had a population that stood around filming somebody with a knee on somebody. They were like, so to make that comparison is weird to me because the mentality and the way that they taught back then was already a revolutionary society. So police had to shoot you. They couldn't get away with just standing in public with a knee on your neck for 30 minutes. Hell no, not in the 70s. No, you can't do that. And people stand around and film it and just yell, "You're killing him." No, they're not gonna do that.
So I tell you, based on what you said, are you saying that these modern Americans are not pacified?
I think George Floyd had to do with the location that it was at, right? I'm probably breaking up, ain't I?
But also the fact that I think
you please, I don't know what, and that's I'm talking over you.
Okay, I didn't know you was talking.
Oh, I just want to say real quick before I go, I'm gonna have to go back on mute. But I think George Floyd had to do with like where was that? I couldn't imagine that white boy kneeling on that man's neck here in my town. Like I don't. That wouldn't have happened here. It just wouldn't have happened in my town. Like, you know what I mean? Like
somebody would have got him up off that nigga.
Somebody would have took a bullet to get him up off of him.
Mm-hmm.
It would have somebody one of them black folks out there would have took a bullet to get that white boy up off that other boy's neck. Like that's just how it would have went here. You know what I mean? Like, y'all go ahead. You know what I'm saying?
But what I'm saying in the light of that, I even think back then the white people were revolutionized. You know, you had the Puerto Ricans was revolutionized. All them student movements was revolutionized. That whole period, you had the BLA, the SLA, the FMLA for the Puerto Rican. They all used this LAT, this Liberation Army moniker in the end of them. And they was all blowing up shit, running around. So I don't think, just in that time period in general. And that's not like now.
So what you're saying? These Negroes pacified?
I don't know. I don't want people
listen, I know in the 90s, right? We had a culture here.
I think there's more fear of the police. I would put it that way.
So look,
there's more personal awareness. Like you don't want to get shot. The police are. If somebody would have tackled him, you understand. People just don't want to get involved because they don't want the ramification. I put it that way. I want to say they're pacified. I would just say.
Let me ask Chef the question. Chef, let me ask Chef the question. Chef, are Negroes today pacified?
Yeah, I would say something going on because in the 90s when I grew up, and maybe the police are different, right? Me, when I was a teenager, the police actually got they got respect if they took off their badge and fought a dude head up. Like that was common you know what I mean, for if you get to going back and forth with a police officer, after a while, the police would be like, all right, I can take this badge off. You know what I mean? Like if we having a man issue, we can go in the alley, right? Away from everybody. My sergeant ain't around. You feel me? And we can shoot a fair one. Like that shit used to happen. You know what I mean? On a regular basis. And I think young dudes actually had a level of respect for that officer who would take his badge off. You dig what I'm saying? And actually fight you as a man. You dig what I'm saying? Like if you feel like I'm disrespecting you because I'm just doing my motherfucking job. You know what I mean? So, but if you feel like I'm disrespecting you and the only reason I'm treating you like this is because I got the badge, brother, I could take this motherfucker off and we could actually fight. You dig what I'm saying? Like I don't need this advantage of being a cop for you to feel like that's the only reason I'm doing this shit to you. So, you know what I mean? Like I'm 46 years old. Shit could be completely different now. But that's the type of shit that I used to see on a regular basis. You dig what I'm saying? And those type of cops got respect from us. You know what I mean? But to just kill on a nigga neck.
Hey, Chef. Hey, real quick, I can't talk that long because I'm in the office real quick. Hey, another difference though, Chef, and I would agree with you 100%. But remember, back in the day, there was a rule where the police had to be from the community that there was community policing. So them same guys was walking the beat in a neighborhood probably where they grew up or close to where they live, at least out here. And I've seen that. The cops walking the beat where it's like, I know this guy. He used to be a security guard at my high school, or he used to be such and such. All the security guards in our high school became the cops in our area when we grew up. And they would take off everything. I'm serious, bro. They would take off everything and knuckle up. So I do agree with you. So maybe it's the late 2010s, but at least in the early 2000s, it was definitely that way.
Yeah, but the police force has changed over the last 15 years because many of these polices belongs to very radicalized group, especially the white one. It has been very radicalized.
That's what I think it is.
Yeah,
There's
these white
nowhere in
police
the
officers
world
now.
another cop should have told Joe to get the fuck off of yo. After a while, you feel me? Like that's
exactly what it is.
That's why I'm glad that they got fired and shit also, because yo, that's crazy, yo. Like everybody know when somebody on their job then went too far. You dig what I'm saying? Like, like you gotta have that left, but they said them guys was rookies or something.
Or
like, Chef, I'm talking about the people that stood around. They don't even have to be. You ain't even gotta interact with them. You could have started throwing backward. You could have backward them.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything, that would have got them up off them. That would have made them have to start react to the crowd and get up off of him. You understand? And move.
I don't think that they thought he was dying.
Yeah. Like you could have just backward them.
No, they knew it. They knew he was dying. The little girl knew he was dying. The little girl knew he was like. I can replay that George Floyd back in my head. Like the actual police officer that was standing there knew he was dying. And the one dude who knew jujitsu, the jujitsu guy, the black dude, he was a jujitsu trainer or some shit. He was out there. He knew he was dying because he done put niggas in that chokehold, in that same chokehold before. You know what I'm saying? So
they knew he was dying.
Watched that boy die. They knew he was dying.
And the police who held him down knew he was dying. Everybody knew. They knew he was dying.
There was no crowd pressure though. They didn't even move in on the act, and you understand?
Yeah, because if they would have moved forward, he would have had to get up. If they just would have pressed forward, he would have had to get off his back just to protect himself. You ain't even had to really.
Yeah, and the jujitsu dude wanted to do it. The jujitsu dude wanted to, but nobody would back him up. So it was like 5 or 6 niggas out there. The jujitsu dude was walking around in circles, right? He wanted to make a move, but nobody else made the move. So that's how it go here. A nigga you get it, motherfucking police got a nigga down on the ground, everybody looking, right? Somebody gonna start moving around. Then next thing you know, the whole crowd is moving around in on that motherfucker. That police gonna have to get up. He gonna have to get up.
Right. He gonna have to get up.
Listen, an example of that is ICE in New York. When ICE run up in New York in the Haitian community, they had to run out. When the ICE officers ran up into New York with the Haitians community, they had to run out. Negroes have been pacified, and myself included. I don't want to lose this nice house with the 5 TV, although 2 of us live in it, and the nice cars. My ass has been pacified with a nice house and 2 nice cars and 5 TV for 2 people. They pacify me.
Oh, God. Yeah,
No, honestly.
And in certain communities, right? In certain communities, though, y'all.
He's a blood clot lot of bullshit.
No, check this out. In certain communities, right, we have to acknowledge that the addict is, even the way that we look at an addict is like they don't have the same value. You dig what I'm saying? And I think that we play a part in that also. You dig what I'm saying? And the value of an addict's life. You dig what I'm saying?
Great point. Great point.
You know what I mean? That has a percentage to do with it also. You dig what I'm saying?
I don't think it's just the addict though, because I remember back in the days, like
no, I ain't say it was just. I didn't say it was just that. I say it plays a part.
It goes back. It goes to your point. I'm just speaking to your point, because I remember back in the day, right, when the gang banging thing started and the police changed the crash unit thing, right? You get pulled over, everybody was a felony stop. You getting face down, and you land, and black people would literally stop the car and be like, yo, get him off the ground. What is he doing? And force the police. But as the years went on, I don't know if they was desensitized, but people quit doing that. They didn't get enough for it. They started desensitized. You must deserve it or something like that. You understand? They just kept driving by like it was a normal thing.
Yeah,
so I know what happened. I know exactly what happened. What happened was it was the age group that had happened to, right? They had that happen to them so much that they figured, oh, them little niggas will be all right. They just getting stretched out. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's just like, you know, they figure like it won't be that bad. They just stretching them out. They'll be all right. Them niggas gonna move on. You know, that's just what goes on. Like the older guys look at it as that's just what's going on. You know, that's just what goes on. Yeah,
it's a part of the situation.
To me,
yeah.
I feel that way.
You realize how dangerous that is.
I don't feel that way though. That is dangerous though. That is dangerous. But go ahead, y'all.
But no, because I did that, Corey. I could drive by and see like a traffic stop and like, yeah, man, they're gonna be all right as long as the man, you know, they'll get you that and keep it moving. True.
No, as I say, we have been pacified. We might not want to use that term because I feel bad, and we have been desensitized to it. That this is supposed to be normal behavior for us. That we must, you know, when they ask the question, the police asked the passenger for driver's license. And the passenger said, I don't need to give you a driver's license. He's pulled out of the car, stretched out on the ground. And people will say, all he should have did, he should have complied. He should have complied. This would never have happened. I will start to give our own children the talk that, listen, just comply. I know that's wrong, but I need you home today. Just comply.
But with that situation, they made laws though to make that legal. Like when they actually get out the car for officers see.
No. If I'm asking for your driver's license, no, listen to what I said. If you're a passenger in the car and the police stop the car,
they can't do that to you, a passenger.
You're not legally. You shouldn't be identified, but yet let's still ask. Let everybody in the car identify themselves.
No, they only identify for crime. If it's a traffic stop and you're a passenger, they can't actually.
Right, but they still tend to ask passengers to identify themselves. And if you don't choose to identify, sometimes you're charged with obstruction, or you're saying to be obstructing an investigation. We have seen that happen.
Yeah,
we have seen that happen.
Yeah, yes, that happens.
But we even tell our own children that, listen, if the officer asks for the license, just give it to him. don't be very compliant. We need you home tonight. You know, we need you home tonight. We'll deal with it
Yeah, that's
after.
against the law. That's against the law.
It is against.
But
And
yeah,
we have to
we
it's
yeah,
against the law.
but we
But you have
just
to do
trying to
it the
get
right
home
way.
most
You
of the
can't
time.
say sovereignty and all of that. That's not
Yeah, but we just want our young men to come home, though.
Yeah.
That's why we tell them just comply, because we
Yeah.
know it's illegal. It's illegal because this goes back to I think the 1800s or something. Like you shouldn't be, travel should never be molested, right?
That's the Fourth
You should
Amendment.
be able to travel without being molested, right? So
Yeah. Freedom in a person.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
but
But we want to. It's different for black folks, and we all know that.
right,
So.
right. So over time of getting, but over time we will continuously, because we're continuously stepping back. Because 60s, 70s, where black people stood, if a line is there in the 60s and 70s, where black people stood, we are far behind that line now. The line that was drawn by the civil rights leaders in the 60s and 70s. We as black people are nowhere close to that line. We have pulled back so far and made so many concessions now that we're afraid to look at where that line was.
Yo, Stu Peace, let me jump in. Let me show you. Corey, this for you for understand, right? What Stu Peace is talking about was the passenger, not the person driving the vehicle.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And he's just talking about a regular traffic stop, not a criminal stop, because the law changed.
Absolutely, yeah.
Now,
I know what you're talking about.
What goes
Yeah.
on is when you're a passenger, right? The police have a policy where they're trying to profile young black people, and they got a little book. So they want the ID to put them on their name in the book for future reference. And you can keep your name out of the book because I don't need to go in your book. You don't need to talk to me. You just here for giving them a ticket. There ain't no dope in the car. There's no illegal gun in the car. From you doing criminal activity, none of this work. You understand? Stu Peace is just talking about from a position where you are legally there, but then you still submit as though you're criminally implicated. You understand? And now you're in
Absolutely.
the fight.
We all on the same page. Yeah.
Now they
No.
and then in the next situation, you understand? Now they know more about you. And what
absolutely, they got your tattoos. They want to take a picture of your tattoo and all that. Yeah.
There's a resistance that you can put up before you even get another book, if you know the law. But this only works if you're moving legal, though. You understand?
Right.
Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. But you
and most of the time we comply. Most of the time, young black men comply because they don't even really understand that, like, they can get off for illegal search and seizure, right? They'll comply just because they got a joint in the car. They'll have their rights trampled over just because they got a joint in the car.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they don't realize that, even if they find the joint, it was still an illegal search and seizure. They're gonna have to drop the charge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
they'll call it poison.
We're not savvy on the law, and a lot of times it's trouble for us to be, right? I think sometimes it'll cause that black boy more damage to know certain rights. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, if you just go ahead and give me your ID or whatever, you know what I'm saying, you'll be good. But sometimes, not complying, knowing the law and saying, I'm going to stick up for my rights. A lot of times sticking up for your rights will get you killed as a black man.
Yeah, because,
because
they will charge with obstruction, they will blame me for all different kind of things. And now, after the fact, after they have done something wrong, they'll search the car, and sometimes, go open and close quotation, they find something that's illegal. So that is it. That's why I said the line that was drawn by those civil rights activists in the 60s and 70s, that listen, you can go this far and no further, no longer exists. We are almost 100 paces now beyond that line.
Yeah.
Because we don't want that conversation to happen. Because that's what Tony would say, something like that. Tony would say, Why Stupids didn't comply? He knows that he didn't do anything wrong. If you're innocent and you don't have any wrongdoing, just listen to the police. The police is there for your own safety. Right? This steroid of police officer is there for your own safety. This steroid of police, when you see them sometimes, I see those arms. I say this dude on steroids. And you just laugh. Because you know that he's quick to anger. Anytime you see the buff police officer people, I'm telling you, most of them on steroids. Most of them on steroids. And as a result, they are quick to anger. They're aggressive because of the steroids. So it's best that you sometimes comply.
Yo, Stupids.
Sometimes they having withdrawals from them steroids too, and they go off and just go wild too. Like it's a lot of different shit. Them police they be hooked up on a lot of drugs. Believe me, they want to stay up all night. They get their doctors to prescribe them Adderall, so they eating Adderall all night long. You know what I'm saying? That's why they get out the car. It's 2 a.m. You know what I mean? They hike. They sweating and hiked already because they on Adderalls and shit like that, bro. It's wild, yeah. But go ahead.
Yo, what I was gonna say, right? In the late 90s, I quit smoking in my car, right? And I quit keeping ash in the ashtray, any of that. So I got a stash spot put from my tool and them something there. And I just didn't want a problem. And I took off the dark tint and I got all the tint that the state regulated. And I had the car just perfect state regulation. So that I knew when the police pulled me over, right? Any little thing that they're gonna look for is not did it. I won't drive drinking. I don't have no alcohol on my breath. Like everything, like old Mason type driving. You understand? So when the police pull me over, they racially profiling me and they come up out of the car. When they do their little fishing, there's nothing to catch. They're gone. They're gone immediately. Like the traffic stops so quick because they don't have no way to forget at me. You understand? The insurance is there, the license is on point, the ashtray is open so you can see it's no ash in the ashtray. No, I don't smoke. Nah, I'm a Rasta, but I don't smoke. Where I chat for? You don't smell no weed. There's no weed on me. You don't smell no weed on the clothes, the car. I don't even like have incense in the car because they use that to think say you're trying to cover a smell. You understand? Because that's the way, if y'all go use the law, that's how you have to move within the law. Like you can't use the law when you're fucking up. It don't work. Because now you're trying to use the law to get around something. And you know, say the man might go press you on that. You understand me? I see it. So it's a way. And we have to educate the youth that we know you want to be fresh. We know you want the car that's too low for the city limit. And you want the dark tint that the city say you can't have and all of this. But all of that is giving them the opportunity, which now they're going to use. And they're going to come with the Adderall and with the withdrawal and with the steroid and with all the other fuckery. And as black people, we do. It's just what it is. You understand?
But you realize that based on what you just said, that we're at a constant disadvantage because we now have to always be cognizant of our situation. It's like we're living in an environment full of predators. So we cannot misstep at any time, or else it's going to be to our own detriment. How can anybody live like that? Where the law now become a shackle instead of a guide?
Well, what I think it'll do is real talk. It'll make us better in our citizenry when we have our own place, because we understand how law can be abused. So we want that. You understand? So the way we will act and move in citizenry won't require that. You understand? So we'll have people that respect road laws, people that respect what we prescribe for the general welfare of the state, because we're not going to use it to abuse the freedoms. We're going to use it to enhance and control public safety, what it was meant for. But it's because we know what it can do when it's turned against you. Because that's the only positive I can see is getting out of this. It's
no,
learning.
but even then, Rasta, you ever go in a city yet? In a city, and not in a city. Let's say you go in a what them call it here now? Like Miramar is a Pembroke Pines. You go in Pembroke Pines, but Pembroke Pines run east to west, and you enter Pembroke Pines on the most eastern end, and a police car follow you straight through Pembroke Pines, nearly 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A police car behind you for 10, 15 minutes straight.
Yeah, me know that way. And you there fret the whole of the way. You know, me stop fret panding. Because me know
No, I not fretting. My car clean, everything. My license good. I don't have nothing. I don't have anything outstanding. I'm not fretting. But is the audacity of the situation where this officer is following you, hoping that you will make a mistake, giving him justification to stop you. Yes, that's an environment that is not conducive to healthy living. Because what he did to me was increase my stress factor.
I agree with
and a situation that I should not have found stressful. Me driving home.
I agree with that.
Me driving home. So we now live in an environment that our stresses are increased because we have to be very compliant. So you go in a car and you can't make the mistake of not checking your tail lights or your indicator, because the day that they're not working is a day that you know that you'll be stopped. You understand what I'm saying to you? So the stress factor for the average black person.
Everything you say, man, it increased the stress factor, but that's why I'm saying that really, if you really look at it, and they're asking you like, yeah, okay, you gotta comply with all of these policies that we put in for public safety, right?
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, we're gonna interact our racism and this and that upon you. So if you have done all of that, right? In the back of your mind, there's still a fear there's something to happen to you, right? But you should still not allow that fear to offset the fact that, no, I'm a responsible citizen. You understand? And I'm just moving about my day. I don't care if you're behind me, because you probably get a white person on meth with the light out and this and that. And you're profiling me because you're going to run my license plate and things in me black. And even if I do touch the line, or I do make a mistake and you pull me over, me going to comply and give you my license and take my ticket and cite you a court and go on about my business. So my stress should not be so much so. Because you understand, when you're young and you know, say, I'm dirty, or the car is in somebody else's name and they don't have insurance, but I need this to make the move, and the car is burning oil, so it smoked too much and it's going to have a tension.
No, but I'm not talking about those negative people. Yeah. I'm talking about people who live in lawful, healthy life,
but
have to operate.
There's a negativity, you carry it over into the healthy life, and you think, say, like you expect something negative to go on if an interaction occurs.
Yeah, no, but let's be honest.
You shouldn't expect that.
No, but the example is that the example that I tend to use. I don't use people who was a part of the life or is still in the life. I'm using ordinary law-abiding people.
All right.
Always been law-abiding people who going about their day-to-day, but yet still have to be cognizant that everything they do, they always take the right step. That there's no misstep for individual who was always law-abiding. If you tail light out and them don't stop you and say, listen, I'm not giving you a ticket for this tail light. Just a warning because your tail light is out. I said to him, say, thank you, officer, I didn't know. Thank you. I will go on. But even that, based on how him come up to you with a level of aggression, that sometimes some people might not want to deal with a level of aggression that day. Right? You're standing outside.
I don't know if I'm breaking up now. But, so the police do that a lot around here. So when I was like 22 years old, I might have even been 25, but I was going to court to get my license back, right? And I'm trying to get my life together and, go strictly by the fucking book, you know what I mean? And the judge was wondering, he was like, bro, you're only 25? He was like, bro, with a driving record like this, you should be like 50 years old, like to have this many tickets and this many infractions and driving while it's suspended and this, that, and the other. The thing was, and what I tried to explain to the judge, and the judge didn't even understand it, bro. I explained to the judge that, yeah, when the police pull you over in the hood, if you ain't got no guns or drugs, they just gonna let you go. They don't care about you not having license or driving while suspended or none of that. If you ain't got guns or drugs, they don't got time for you. They don't want to write. They don't want to spend time doing paperwork about your tail light being broken out, whatever it is, the reason why they got to stop you. You know what I'm saying? All they wanted to do is take that dog around in your car and sniff around that motherfucker and pat your pockets and look up under your seats. And that was it. Once they done with that and you ain't got no guns or drugs, they ain't got time for you. They gonna move on to the next motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? But, that's how it goes around here. I don't know if it goes like that around where y'all from, but it does around here like that.
There was a police officer, I was watching something, I investigated it, who the city refused to fire, although he was an asshole, because the amount of revenue he was bringing in from traffic violations. Traffic violation is used as a tool in certain cities to finance the police department. And the community that is affected most is the Black community. And that has been researched. That has been researched. But, So it was the original argument, because I came in and I distracted part of it with my blackness, and then I cut out somebody, and then I cut out somebody else.
All right.
Right? But aside of Shakur, you might not be a martyr yet, but I know that probably in the future, young Black people might pull on you because of who you was and what you did. But trust me, Black people today is not the same people that was 30, 40 years ago. All of us have big screen TV now and pretty car. Chef not giving up him Lexus and him Benz and him Range and him G-Wagon. And 3 people in the house and 14 TV. Every room have a TV in the house. We're not giving that up. And we're not giving that up. Yeah. Concrete core not giving that up. You concrete? Not giving up that. You're not going to be a part of the revolution. And do what?
I'm not as rational as Sheffrin and the rest of them. I'm an irrational nigga, right? I make rash decisions. So it ain't no telling what, how I might what may happen. I could be like, fuck this all. It's about, most of the time, I operate on principle. That's the majority of my life is operated on principle. And principle then had me lose out on a lot. You know what I'm saying? My principle, my morals, and what I stand on, I've lost out on a lot from that. You know what I'm saying? But it's like my dad say, all money ain't good money. You know what I mean? So like I don't know, Supees. If I feel principled enough, I say fuck it all. You know what I mean? I'm just one of them type of rash niggas though. You know what I'm saying? Well, I think I've always had the luxury to be rash like that, right? So I got a network. I got a network around me. That's kind of like my safety net, So I kind of got the luxury to be a little more rash than others, I guess. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a problem. We don't have the luxury. Is the luxury being is that our man is measured today to me is different than how a man was measured 50 years ago. How society perceive you and see you is different. Right? A car is no longer a means of transportation, but a status symbol. So if you don't have the right car, if you don't have the right clothes, if you don't live in the right neighborhood, your measurement as a man is sometimes less. So some people don't want to lose all of that.
Yeah. That's the absolute truth, especially today. Yeah, I've never looked at that as good to peas. Where you see a lot of people measuring themselves. I see it more where people measure themselves by, the car they got or the clothes they wear or the house they live in and shit like that, right? And even, measuring themselves, they don't, by those standards, you lose integrity. When you start to measure yourself by that standard, you start to lose integrity.
Hold on. Let me get on this, Corey. Isn't that a byproduct, like the negative part of Americanism, like that consumerism? You understand? Because that's what I wanted to ask. I wanted to pose this question in the light of what I just said. Is there a difference? Let's say you're working as a revolutionary. In our spirit, you're revolutionary, but your concept is to improve and make America stand up to the Constitution and deal with equity and try and solve the imbalance and make things fair or level the playing field as much as you can for the future generation. You understand? And using equity programs and ray. And that's how you're fighting as a revolutionary. To someone that's fighting as a revolutionary that wants to just destroy America and start again. So what I think about that? Is there a difference between the two? Are both like celebrated, or is one upheld more so?
That's a difficult question right there. That's actually more difficult than I've never really thought about it like that. I need a minute to think about that actually, because because we don't see eye to eye, don't mean you wrong. You know what I'm saying? So because I want to build up America and make it stand up to the Constitution, and you figure the best way to do it is just tear the whole motherfucker down and build it back up the right way. You know what I'm saying? I think we're trying to reach the same goal. I just think we just taking two different paths. And two different paths, you might get to the same destination, but the outcome may be different. You know what I'm saying? So by the time you could drive to the destination, Stu Pease could fly, and I could jog. You know what I mean? We all get to the same destination. You done got in a car accident. Stu Pease flew comfortably and got off the plane and took a limousine over there to it. And here I am still running. I done fucking collapsed trying to run to get to the destination. So, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's the results that come from it. You know what I mean? I don't know what's better until we get the result. You know what I mean?
And anybody else want to come in?
I'm not an anarchist. I don't believe in ripping things out. I believe that it can be fixed. It can be fixed, but sometimes, not all the building can be saved. Core the concrete, and I will tell you that sometimes you can't save it. You can't save the structure. While other times you can, modify other parts of the structure, make it stronger, put in more pillars, put in more columns, make it stronger. But sometimes you just have to just fuck that shit up. Is America a country that you have to? No. It's have a strong constitution. But sometimes you have to put in more pillars, more safeguards, more system in place to protect the building that America is. And that it can be more level for everybody else. Everybody. But and that's where we're at today. That's the argument is. Is it what we're doing? We're making it stronger, or we're saying let's fuck this shit. And some people of the mindset to say, fuck this shit. I'm not of that mindset. I'm not of that mindset.
I don't think our ancestors who fought and died and bled would want us to be anarchists. You know what I'm saying? I think they would want us to fix it the way, I think they would want us to take control and fix it up the way we see fit. You know what I mean? Not tearing it down, but building on what they already built on. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Some strange degree of humanity needs to be
You're breaking up.
See that logic, we can't hear you.
No, I was saying, am I any clearer now?
Yes.
I was saying, I think humanity needs America to get some of these social issues right. To be honest with you, I think it's a big endeavor for the species a little bit in some strange way. But I kind of look at all. I think those humanitarian acts are super important. Everywhere on the globe, that's a forefront that humanity needs to pay close attention to. Anytime human rights is involved. I think it's tough to do both, right? Because I feel like most people contending with us getting better position in America benefits America. And I think a lot of people, they that kind of sours it for them, right? They can't imagine empowering the things that they already like make an enemy out of. So most people can't see themselves doing both in order to achieve a particular thing. That's kind of where I see most people getting tied up.
Well, I think it's an interesting question to think about.
All right, but I ask this question.
I'm of the position more like logic see. Because I really think from America released that concept about individual rights and this and that, it already impacted the world. It impacted people that want that, it impacted the women over here. All type of people kept fighting for this thing called that. It led to this international human rights. So if America could actually really enact that, then it would affect the rest of our world. It would be a revolutionary thing if they could level the playing field. So I do agree with that party. But I also can understand the people, they say they want to start over. But I don't know how you participate in something, though. And why, like, while you're waiting for it to crash. You understand? Because
right.
if you're really anarchist, then you just got to pull back from any type of participation and expect this vessel to crash, for coming to like a Venezuela situation. And the place there where inflation is extreme and nothing no matter no more, and now you have to figure it out again. But I don't think that's not gonna happen.
You made a bad example.
People still participate and want the beans, want the host, the TV, and all of them something there while they're waiting on it to crash. And I don't think those two things can go together. You understand? So you understand? I think they can fare well in an anarchic situation. I'm not afraid of black people going into an anarchic situation. I think we will fare well. But waiting on it is weird while you participating. You understand? So I think if you're going to participate, you should participate to elevate it, to make it right. That's the whole point. So
you use Venezuela as an example of anarchy. And I don't agree with you. Because Venezuela crashing is a result of two things, both internal and external factor. Because what happened in Venezuela is that it was super amplified. Because nearly 1 million Venezuelans came to Florida. And most of them didn't need citizenship because they were born in America. The rich and the 1% took most of the wealth when they left. So we can't use that as an example of anarchy because of external factor. No, the thing about it is that in order for things to become fair, or to use the word that Brass don't like, fair, is that some people have to take less. Put yourself in the shoes of a 1%er or a billionaire. Would you be comfortable in your taxes going to social issues? Not many people say no. They're not responsible for anybody except themselves.
Well, there are start philanthropic organizations for misuse that money, and I would say that all of that philanthropic money should be cast into the public coffers to solve issues at public. It shouldn't be allowed to be given to private programs to push agenda, and that's how we solve that. Otherwise, we're gonna take it to taxes anyway. So I would make philanthropy like a national thing, and then that would fund all the inequity. Like you can't go and use philanthropy to back Annenberg to make bullshit books and control public education. No, we're not gonna allow the money for that. We go no Annenberg. It's a general account, and this go to fund Black College. So that's what I would do with that. And then as a rich person, I have to do philanthropy anyway, so I would just contribute to the government philanthropic pot rather than trying to create, you know how they do with the money, the Carnegie Foundation, the Ford Foundation, and then when they use that to push the white supremacy issue and little aspects of society. You understand me, I say. So that's how I would deal with that if I was wealthy. But the system we have now, because money has speech, then they do philanthropy. Like I said, them organization, they go around and confuse and mislead the people there. And I think say no, that should be our government fund. And all rich people have a certain amount of money. Yeah, man. Because you give it away at charity anyway. So that should be a general fund. And you have to go to government for your charity organization, and you have to get audited regularly.
If you were in charge of government, would you raise taxes on rich people?
I would proportionate the tax and use that, like I said, the philanthropy and all of them someday. That's
No, if you would raise taxes.
You would pay regular tax, but then your philanthropy money would go up. That would be a whole different tax because you would go to the philanthropic bracket.
What is regular tax?
Eh?
What is regular tax?
Well, like the general taxes we pay, like what's going on now, that would stay probably proportional to the regular society and this and that. But what I would do is I would add a philanthropic tax. Like you moved into the philanthropic class, where if you don't take this money and do it and put it in the philanthropy, we're gonna raise your taxes so much so that you wish you had put it in the philanthropy.
Let me use an example. Let me use an example why that wouldn't work. Let's use Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk.
Okay.
Do you think that they get taxable income? Do you think that Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk get taxable income?
I don't think so, no, but I think the corporation. And the
No, they don't. No, they don't. They're both paid in stocks.
No, the corporation do all of that. The trust fund do all of that.
No, they get paid in they get paid in stocks. They don't get paid in cash.
Yes,
they get paid in stocks. So who are you going to tax them?
I would make your like once you reach a certain status, right? I would call it philanthropic wealth. So if you hold this much wealth, or you had the ability to transfer this much wealth in stock and this and that, then you would be in line for this philanthropic tax. And it would be applied to any change you made if you didn't already make the donation. And then that's when the tax would go extreme. Like it would be much more simpler for you to take 22 million and put it in other fund rather than we tax you and it's 100 million. Something like so. I would lose leverage. Go someone. You're not transferring nothing if you don't put nothing in our pot over there for the black people and the poor people of the world. No.
Ross?
Because of too much them use their money for create organization that do fuckery to it. So, the government's supposed to be the place where, nah, man, you know what I mean? We have some type of mitigating factor. We have some legal document that must uphold. So we had like a big philanthropic fund. And then, according to your position on the equity board, you got more out of that fund. So if black people are the lowest on the inequity board, we get more of the funding. The natives have all of them on funding, so they're not even in that. They have to the more account and the more thing are going. This is for the general population and what we are talking about over here. And then the rest of them people fall in line and get their proportional percentage to bring us to a point to where people can say, yo, we can't marry uno and we can't marry uno. It's you not working hard now and you not working hard. What we all go do? But we just keep letting these people use this money and build these private teams. We can't compete. We can't compete. Then you gotta go beg them for grant. Like half the grant you get come from corporate funding and the corporation you hear. I fuck that.
You understand how government get funded? How government get funded for the day-to-day operation?
Government work on debt.
How government get funded? Fund, F-U-N-D.
Yeah, they get funded. That funded is to get a budget, right? But that funding comes from the money that's released by the Federal Reserve, right? To fit the government budget. And then when they collect the tax, that's supposed to be to go to maintain the general welfare of the police. Right? Or am I incorrect? I could be incorrect.
Yeah.
Am I incorrect?
And they collect taxes from many different avenues. Tariffs is one. Even before Trump raised the tariff was always a measure for collect taxes. Income taxes, business corporate taxes, we have all different kind of taxes. Income tax for regular people. The government don't get most of his money from that, When you crying, and other people crying, oh Lord, my income tax. My income tax. If you look at all of the income tax of ordinary working people, 9 to 5, that can't even fund 10% of the government budget. But we have a conversation from taxes another day.
Yeah, but I think don't they get funded by loan?
That's when there's a deficit. When there's a deficit, the government has to seek loan. When there's a deficit, the government seek loan. So like for the last couple of years, we're operating under a deficit since COVID. So that's why the national debt has ballooned to what it is, 32 trillion. Because I had to put systems in place to come back after COVID.
The reason I'm saying this is debt is because they're always managing debt, and the debt keep growing by the trillion, the debt clock, and all of that. So there has to be some type of leveraging going on in order to achieve the financing. That's why I control the inflation, and then the Federal Reserve look to see how much money they're gonna regulate in circulation. So when I'm saying the government it funds itself in debt, that's where I'm going for. Like the actual exchange of money is supposed to be what the GDP, right? And then what they can use to actually maintain or provide projects for the infrastructure, which is failing because they're spending so much money on the fucking debt.
No.
And that's one of the places I think say the jobs are gonna be and the or sustainability be building up infrastructure. Bridge maintenance and new road development techniques, the modern rubber bush instead of the rubber tree that they're planting in Arizona, and all of these sustainable jobs, the way they're gonna build homes and this and that, the modular housing and the environmentally protected environment inside the house, you know what I mean? Where the house not release any chemicals when you're coming out of the house. Because how the houses we live in release some type of chemicals that we don't even know about. Polyethylene coming out of the fake wood floor and this and that coming out of this paint, not even lead, other things. And they're starting to not use those things. They're starting to find different ways to build product. And sometimes I think we're not, that's what I always say, compete. And do we want to build something? Because if we're not involved in all that, that's where the schemes come in and they apply. And I think you got to be part in trying to make something better so that even if it collapses, you have the skills to rebuild at the level and better than what you had before. You understand? Let's say everything collapsed, right? I don't want to go back and build with the thing them I know say it didn't work the first time. I want better wood. I want to understand how to construct the house where it lasts longer because we have all of this knowledge and this can't last. You understand? Like people have to go and participate in all this. Like we have to be involved in developing because the way the economy is moving and society is moving, our children have to be in on that. And a lot of it's going to be an application. But they're going to have to know how to apply what they fucking learn. They have to build it, and most of it are going to go on sustainability, better ways to grow food, better ways for heat the house, better ways to deal with solar electricity, and better ways to stop pollution, better ways to improve recycling. You know, they're making oil out of algae, all type of thing the man are doing, you know. So when like say if we was to come back 100 years, we would look like George Washington and them man at this time now. We would run around that world and be like, yo, wow, go on the blood clot. And I smelled no gas. The man that talking to everything. the man that just pressing some button and food is made at home and the stove is already heating up and some robot done put the chicken in the oven and the man there is in the car watching the video on the front screen and the car just driving. You wouldn't know what to do. Like literally, you would be like, yo, I wear the cell phone there. The man is a cell phone or call, just talk to the screen and actually want to talk to. And you say, what? He said, yeah, man, just call him on their name. The man I got to call him. I said, what? I don't know his number. Just call him on name, man, from any part of the world, and the man I got pop up if him go answer. And you'll look on him like, what you mean? You understand? So that's how fast the change I gonna go. Like enough people don't get it. I do, because I watch the youth, the way they work the phone now. I can't compete. That's why I gave up video game and all of that shit. I can't compete with it. I look on that and I say, yo, this shit's incredible. All I know how to do is text, go on YouTube, call, use a few applications. Yeah. I can't do all them fucking things them I do. Maybe edit a picture, this and that, do something there, little smart thing. Like me, I use a computer, but some of them do something without a phone. Lord God. I'm still amazed when I go to a grocery store. Them niggas just start waving the phone over the little checkout thing. They just be waving the phone. And they hit a couple of buttons, they just wave the phone. Then they just start grabbing food. I'm like, damn, I gotta get to the wave the phone era. I'm not even in out the wave the phone era. Like I think I don't know nothing about. I feel like I ain't got no tattoos, nigga. I don't know how to wave the phone to buy food. I'm like, I'm really getting shit around this blood clot. I ain't got no car with no computer in it with the little screen where I can just Google whatever the fuck I want while I'm driving. Not none of that, man. Oh, deity. I was looking at the youth. I was like, yeah, these people think y'all not connected. Y'all connected, but y'all just got to get to more. Y'all got to not do what we did. Y'all got to get kids and y'all got to take the connection beyond using. The simple usage. You got to start developing. You got to see the potential in doing more than just simple usage. Like it's my different application of this technology, my you for money. And that's how we see a lot of it. That we don't, but I don't believe we can want in there from there. Like we have to want to continue to compete. And the competition is at a scale now that I'm amazed. That's why I say even the little things the youth do is outpace me. And I can't imagine just the real society outpace me. Even of me, I put myself in on this. Like I know I'm outpaced. I don't know nothing about sensors and all the shit they're doing with silicon and what they're developing to make the sensor. I hate when the sensor go about it out of the car. Fuck is this? I don't even need this sensor, B. I don't care, B. I know how to check my tire pressure, B. I know how to keep the seatbelt on, B. I don't need all of this and that and rare, but that's how this world is moving. Everybody got ring doorbell. I don't have no ring doorbell. I have one camera. And I know I'm behind in the time and technology. I know it. But in my mind, I'm like, why do I want that? Because I think different. I'm like, yeah, it might protect me, but if somebody gets shot over there, so the police gonna come and they're gonna want me to free up my camera, and now I have to go to cart and I have to sign this and that. And don't y'all have cameraman? Isn't camera gonna be everywhere outside? So I have to put camera from the house. So I'm thinking about it. So eventually, ring I go out of business because camera go dead there everywhere. So you ain't gonna need no ring camera. You ain't gonna need no because the state gonna have enough camera for all now. So do I need to invest in a camera? From a house. I said, no, we just kind of weird, man. Because they say, hey, you know, everything double, you know, Mars law, technology double every 6 months. I said, pretty soon you're not going to need none of that. So don't buy that right now. Just weird.